Straight Talk Society. This is your host, Trevor, and I'm back with another episode of Straight Talk with Trevor.
Because the ladies from Pour Your Heart Out
no
will be over here to join the panel.
Plus, but it's a must, you gon' respect this. Plus, your nuts will touch the dust, you try to check this. You ain't insane.
The MMA brothers, Bones and Zay, have pre and post shows to the MMA shows, and I am your host, Mr. Straight Talk, the man with the greatest beard on YouTube. Oh, I love throwing that in there. Real quick, I am back on Facebook. I guess they took me out of jail. I was able to connect the channel back. Those of you on Facebook, make sure and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Man Talk Monday. This is the flagship show of the Straight Talk Society. This is the show that you're going to get all your, drama topics. This is a show that you may get your arguments. This is a show where we're going to talk about not one specific thing, but we dabble around the world of pop culture and the men just banter about it. So that's what this show is. But if this show isn't for you, and I don't know why it wouldn't be, but we also have other shows. The highly acclaimed Tape Fist Politics, Venkat, Mike, MD, and Ricardo do such a fantastic job with that. That's every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Hey, if that doesn't fancy your boat, then be sure to tune into Wrestling with Reality. Today we have the return of Straight Talk Therapy Sessions with the one and only Dr. Mia. So y'all be sure and tune into that. So tonight we have a fantastic show tonight, the Straight Talk Society. We will not go over that 2.5 hour mark. So Mike, you ain't got no shirt on, right?
I never have clothes on, bro.
But I'm saying you like right on the like crazy.
My bad. I don't like clothes, bro. Anybody that knows me, my
crazy.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Turn snack time into fun time. The great mouth-watering flavors in one convenient pack. Great taste and hard to resist. All natural flavored, mouth-watering, new great taste. The new champion curable flavors. Eat.
Yeah, man. Take my glory when me creating myself and the Jesus.
We gonna mash up this food,
Yeah, about to have me some Duckton. What the What the heck? What the heck? I had my mouth. What the
Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world. It was C.S. Lewis who in his unforgettable Screwtape letters wrote, "The greatest evil is not done now, in those sordid dens of crime that Dickens loved to paint. It is not even done in concentration camps and labor camps. In those, we see its final result. But it is conceived and ordered, moved, seconded, carried, and minuted in clear, carpeted, warmed, and well-lighted offices by quiet men with white collars and cut fingernails and smooth-shaven cheeks who do not need to raise their voice. But because these quiet men do not raise their voices, because they sometimes speak in soothing tones of brotherhood and peace, because like other dictators before them, they're always making their final territorial demand, some would have us accept them at their word and accommodate ourselves to their aggressive impulses. But if history teaches anything, it teaches that simple-minded appeasement or wishful thinking about our adversaries is folly. It means the betrayal of our past, the squandering of our freedom. So I urge you to speak out against those who would place the United States in a position of military and moral inferiority. You know, I've always believed that old Screwtape reserved his best efforts for those of you in the church. So in your discussions of the nuclear freeze proposals, I urge you to beware the temptation of pride, the temptation of blithely declaring yourselves above it all, and label both sides equally at fault, to ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire, to simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding, and thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong and good and evil.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
Alright, thank you.
Now, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Niggas, you crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay shut your mouth. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical.
Hold it. Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by with your shut up, man.
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You gotta come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
Sarcastic.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in
I'd
this
like to
investigation?
punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one other
go ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Tape Fist Politics, episode number 6, the political smackdown between Trump versus Obama. Who was better? I'm Venkat, and I'm joined with a partial amount of the panel today. I have Ricardo on the stage. Let me pull up Ricardo. What's going on, Ricardo?
I'm good. What's going on? Straight Talk Society, Tape Fist Politics.
All right.
Here.
All right. Yeah, I can hear you. All right. So, I don't know. MD and Mike may be joining a little bit later, but like I said, this is episode 6, and this week we're going to be diving into Obama and Trump. Let's just put up front here now the rundown of the show. Lead story: Obama versus Trump. What's going on in political news? We have the Republican chaos. A lot of weird things going on with the Republican Party at the moment, so we'll be taking a look at that. On this week's edition, we were not here last week. Last week there was no show, Tuesday the 3rd, but today we're back. So to make up for not having the show, we are going to have 2 lame ducks. We're going to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and also. We'll be addressing a little bit about what's going on with Israel and all the death and destruction and all that stuff. We'll touch on that in the State of the Union, addressing like the international aid that America and other areas provide for these kinds of tragedies. In the nightcap video, there'll be 2 videos, one with Mike Pence and the other will be with George Carlin. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and start with the first lead story, I should say, of the night. And like I said, it's going to be Obama versus Trump. So let's begin the episode now.
Good evening. Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS.
It was nearly 10 years ago that a bright September day was darkened by the worst attack on the American people in our history. The images of 9/11 are seared into our national memory.
Capturing or killing Baghdadi has been the top national security priority of my administration. U.S. Special Operations Forces executed a dangerous and daring nighttime raid. I got to watch much of it.
Today, at my direction, the United States launched a targeted operation against that compound. A small team of Americans carried out the operation with extraordinary courage and capability. No Americans were harmed. They took care to avoid civilian casualties. After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
He died like a dog.
But his death does not mark the end of our effort.
A beautiful dog. A talented dog.
We give thanks for the men who carried out this operation.
And I don't get any credit for this, but that's okay. I never do. But here we are.
May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
And I'm writing a book. I think I wrote 12 books. All did very well.
President Trump has spent roughly 60% of his working hours in unstructured executive time over the last 3 months. This is according to a trove of internal White House schedules obtained by Axios. The itineraries detail 297 hours of executive time compared to 77 hours of meetings, 51 hours of travel. This from a president who often snubs the work ethic of his predecessor and boasts about his own productivity.
I promise you that I will work so hard, we're going to get it turned around. I just want to stay in the White House and work my ass off. Obama, it was reported today, played 250 rounds of golf. Everything's executive order because he doesn't have enough time because he's playing so much golf. Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there. I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf. He played more golf last year than Tiger Woods. I've also gotten older, and I'm working a hell of a lot harder than I've ever worked before. That I can tell you. When I look at some of these trade deals, I say, how could this have happened? And the truth is, it was laziness. They just let it go. But we're not going to be letting it go because it's truly affected our country. She doesn't have the look. She doesn't have the stamina. I said she doesn't have the stamina. And I don't believe she does have the stamina. To be president of this country, you need tremendous stamina. We've done more than anybody ever thought possible it's not even 2 years. Today I stand before the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
At the United Nations today, President Trump opened with the signature line.
In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country.
But the booming applause that fills the air at his campaign rallies evoked a different response from world leaders and diplomats. Laughter at the president's expense.
Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
President Trump may not have gotten the reaction he expected today when he used a go-to campaign line on a room full of world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly. Instead of cheers, the crowd at the UN laughed at the president when he tried to brag in his distinct hyperbolic style about his administration's accomplishments.
The president's schedule was leaked this week, presumably by somebody who works for him who doesn't think the president works. It showed vast blocks of executive time, a period during which the president can do anything he pleases. For the president's critics, the loose-fitting day suggests he's a loafer. While the schedule does not show all of Mr. Trump's meetings, it indicates he has spent about 60% of his time in unstructured executive time. Axios sources say much of that is spent in his private residence, watching TV, reading the papers, and phoning aides and other people. Reports from inside the administration suggest structured time is chaotic, and free time, sometimes occupying nearly 60% of the day, often coincides with television-inspired tweets.
on this 60% of his time, right? Well, and you're right. Now, executive time, it's this running joke is that it's really tweeting television time, a little TNT, if you will. Should we be hung up on this 60%?
Well, again, the amount of time doesn't really matter, although 60% is quite a lot of time because the president does have a lot of duties that he can't get out of. So 60% does get, if top CEOs spend about 25% of their time, 60% is a great deal more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Venkat. Oh shoot! Mike, did you hear me? Yeah, I had the thing on. I was talking the whole time. My God, I hit the button. I guess it didn't do it. We're live, pal. You can hear me now, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So yeah, there we go. There's a little overview of mainly Donald Trump and this idea that Donald Trump in those 4 years transformed the economy, did all these great things, made jobs, all this other stuff. We're going to get into that. We're going to look at some stats and data and different things. And but that footage that we just watched kind of illustrates the fundamental attitude and approach he did with the presidency. And it's pretty much I'm gonna be pointing out a lot of those kinds of moments where he's a little bit less than for the office. So we're having Obama. I could play clips of Obama, but I don't want to do that because there's going to be so much that's going to be ran. But I wanted to isolate those specific moments in Trump. So as we going into this now, what are our initial thoughts on Obama versus Trump? Any just raw ideas or statements? We'll start with Mike.
Wow. My name is Andir, which is German for others. So first and foremost, I'd like to state I apologize to black people, but I think they're both trash. The reason I think they're both trash varies very much, though. I think Trump is trash because he did what most presidents do, which is take credit for what the president before you set up. And then he didn't do anything. He didn't set up anything. You can't really say he left anything good for Biden. All Biden had was a bunch of you ever have like a bunch of them old school wired earphones in a drawer, and Biden was just doing this. And Grandpa fingers he got arthritis. He don't have time to be doing all that. He trash too. But that's another story. Obama's trash to me because Obama had the highest level, I personally believe, the highest level of political capital in his first go around. When he was just elected, fresh, before the gray hair, when everybody thought his daughters were amazing. They loved his dog. They loved his wife. Before the racists got their rhetoric all super, super steeped, he had the whole country give him all the most I've ever seen political capital given to a new president. And he squandered it trying to be fair. That's my
I like how you said that.
You know what I'm saying?
I like how I will agree. I like what you said there. I mean, that was the perfect way to say that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know another way but to be 100% honest. He wasted it so to the point where by the time the second election came around, he had to fight for it. Like he had to fight to become president to not be a one-termer. Like this man should have coasted. He had a whole race behind him that wasn't white for the first time and had a big chunk of the whites too. He should have coasted, but he was so porous when it came to actual substantive issues that it made it difficult to become a two-term president, and it shouldn't have been that way. That just showed how much wasted capital he just left on the floor and stepped on. He had, if you remember, there were all black people crying and wearing shirts, and I hope. You would have thought it was an Oprah show and they were giving away free shit. That's how much they loved Obama the first time, and he squandered it. So go ahead, Ricardo. My bad, bro.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Like how Mike said, the others, as he would like to,
Others gang.
But yeah, I think one of the complexes that Obama had, and based on how Mike described it just now, was that he was trying to be fair, and not only be fair, he also did not want to portray the angry black man syndrome, which is
Right.
what, you know what I mean? Like where his thing was, I am not going to portray the angry black man syndrome. And that if most people who are listening to us don't know what that is, basically, and it's not only just black men, it's the black woman as well, where we sometimes come across very aggressive in how we display ourselves. It's just like, oh my God, he's just, they all act this way. It's like a thing. It's a rhetoric. So he was like, no, I'm not going to portray that. I just want to go in very impartial. I just want to go in and be probably the best beaming light that I could represent of my culture. That didn't work out so well because I said it from the moment he got inaugurated. I said, watch and see how slowly but surely the community, the black community, is going to be like, he's doing this and he's doing that. I said, you can't appease everybody. My best suggestion, even though I was saying it through the television, was like, Obama, just go in, do your thing, because you're going to get roadblocks. They're going to hit you left, right, and center and behind you. Just go in, do what you need to do and get out. But of course, he picked people from the Clinton administration, and that is what snowballed him into, it kind of helped him. Whereas, going into certain things, it helped him a little bit, but then it's just like, what did you do differently? Because the previous administration, from the people that you picked from the Clinton administration, are pretty much the ones that directed you to doing what you needed to do. And was it Emmanuel? Is it Emmanuel, the guy that ended up being
Yes.
Chicago?
Yes.
Rahm Emanuel.
Yep, in Chicago. Rahm Emanuel. In Chicago, and they end up going to prison.
So he pretty much was, for me, it looked like Rahm was the one. Rahm was the one that was doing the whole dictating for Obama. If maybe I'm just.
But I don't think he made it in the administration. I think he was going to, but then all that controversy happened, and then they had to abandon ship on him.
Yeah, but it's again, you're still using Clinton people. It would have been nice if he had picked people. I get why he did it, but it would have been nice if you had separated yourself, because then now everybody's, the other side's issue was, it's Clinton people, it's Clinton, and the Clintons are always rearing their heads, and it's like the Kennedys, you can never get them out of politics. And that was the issue that he faced, was just, you're just doing what they're doing, and you're not doing anything that we think you should be doing. So it hit him. And then when the second term came around and he started going with is it Mitch McConnell? Not Mitch McConnell.
Are you talking about Mitt Romney?
No, is it Romney?
The second term?
Yes, when he was supposed to go against Romney. That, as Mike described, was very shocking to me, because I was like, wait a minute, Romney looked like he could win this, and it's not even a joke. You shouldn't be fighting politically for your life in the second term. You should be coasting through, and he didn't really coast so well, because he almost, if I'm not mistaken, lost that election. Had it not been for certain things, he pretty much would have, the conservative votes or the independent people like myself were like, I'm looking at the other guy right now, and I think I want to give him a try. And that was what he faced, where it was like, oh man, I had this in the bag. No, you don't. Like, so there's certain things that's going on right now where I'm like, I'm second guessing. I think Romney could, as a conservative, could really turn up a notch. So he skimmed through with that, and then we all know what ended up happening after. It's that it laid the way for, because I think the Democratic Party wanted Biden to come in. It didn't go so well because, as we know, his son died from brain cancer.
Yep.
And he was so distraught, and they were like, "No, Biden, you got to go. This is your perfect opportunity. You got to do this." And Biden was like, "Nope, not ready. I'm not gonna do it." And they kept pushing Biden. He's like, "Nope, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not ready." And he ended up not doing it. And then here comes you know who, just like from the Simpsons episode coming. I don't know how they did it. It was superbly like I would call it 90% accurate. How he came down the escalator, and the rest was history. I was like, "There's no way this guy's gonna win. It's Donald Trump. It's just there's no way." And here we are now. We saw what happened. So, yeah, Mike. Yeah, you're right, because he had the perfect opportunity, but again, certain things kind of obstructed him, and again, not displaying the angry black man theme that he was going for, kind of did him in, if so to speak. And that's
So, so a few things I want to say from what you guys are saying. Some of it I agree with, some of it not so much, because we got to remember the time and the situation. So Obama's the first black president with an asterisk, right? And that asterisk pretty much represents the conditions that he went into office, coming in right after George W. and the destruction that happened with the economy. And that's a common theme you'll notice. A Republican leaving office it's a disaster. Biden just had that, when Trump left, you saw the disaster. But so you have it with an asterisk. So there were certain things that once he sat down in that chair, no matter what his agenda was, no matter what he wanted to do, he had to focus immediately on the economy. The Great Recession, the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, where white people were standing in line trying to get scraps of food to eat. That wasn't a good time, and that lasted for like 11 years in the country. And it really was a dark time in the history of this country. So we're looking at another one of those. So all these things that he could have done out the gate and really pushed towards, he was preoccupied with that from the get-go. And then he actually legislated and passed bill. Bush dropped the bill to give the bailout to the banks and all that stuff. And then Biden did the same. And then he passed a stimulus bill. And then he got into his actual legislation that he wanted to do, which was healthcare. Now, when you look up the history of that, you'll see, like, for almost 100 years, presidents asking, telling, pleading, trying to get healthcare in this country to pass. And for almost 100 years, every president came in, every president went out, failure. The closest we got was Bill Clinton, and that failed. That was in the mid 90s. So here's Barack Obama. He actually passed something. The problem with it was he had oh God, what's the guy's name? Oh my God, Kennedy. Kennedy was in there, and he died a week before the vote of the bill passing. So now Obama didn't have the votes to pass the bill without compromise. And that is how the Obamacare bill got compromised. So I get what Mike is saying and everything about, like, there's certain things that you feel, because he won the Senate, he won Congress, he just had everything. He had similar to like Ronald Reagan in a sense. And that's the other thing too, just like Ronald Reagan, coming in on a time where the economy was really bad, and he had to put bills and legislation forward. But the thing with laws and legislation, it takes time to see the effect. So during that time period where you're getting closer to re-election time, people are not feeling anything because, we're just waiting and waiting, but you can't feel it yet. So that's the pressure was, well, as far as with the Republicans are like, well, the economy was messed up by us, but you guys aren't fixing it quick enough. So we need to come back in. And you had a situation where slowly but surely things started to ramp up. But those first 4 years were kind of, he was kind of pinned down from being able to do the things that were necessary. So from out the gate, he was already kind of handicapped for his legislation. But still, he did pass the bill. He did legislate. Unlike Donald Trump, when you look at his legislation, he didn't go through the trenches and work, champion a bill, trying to sell it amongst the Senate, amongst the Congress, getting the votes. He never went through that. Mitch McConnell had an agenda along with all the other Republicans to pass tax cuts. That's a standardized things Republicans do. That's the sole legislation that Donald Trump ever did. Trump never really legislated. Other people around him just said things, and then he would just go with that. And that's the difference. And
Mr. Venkat.
I know. One more point. Nancy Pelosi said in her documentary, which was a really eye-opening moment. So early in his days, in his presidency, Obama, didn't want to listen to Nancy Pelosi because I guess she's a woman or whatever. You have a bunch of guys that are there, but Nancy Pelosi was an old school politician that had a lot of knowledge on how to wheel and deal, especially with Republicans. And to your point, what you were saying, Mike, she said, don't make deals with the Republicans because they're not going to stand by it. You need to do what you have with what you got and push your agenda through. He didn't listen. He thought he could wheel and deal. That is an error on his part, and that's rightfully so. But I just want to frame the time period about what was going on. Oh, and one more thing. Trevor keeps talking about the overlay blocking. This is the lead story. That graphic stays up there when we're doing the lead story. It's always been doing that. Every episode is like that, Trevor.
It don't matter. I'm the person that's on camera anyway. No biggie.
I know. I mean, we're going to be looking at icons of ourselves. That don't make no sense. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that.
Well, first off, I'm gorgeous, so it is. Okay. I feel what you just said.
Yes.
Made me feel like I was arguing with a woman about women politics. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
You went around about explaining a whole bunch of stuff I wasn't talking about to come back to the end where I am right. You could have just started with I'm right. It would have made this a lot easier. Okay? It would have made this a lot easier. You were like, oh, well, he had this and he had that. And I don't care, ma'am. Just be my piece. That's how I talk to women, and I'm about to talk to you the same way. I don't want to hear none of that. He walked in. Hold on, let me get my fingers. Walked in.
Hold on, let me get you. Go ahead.
Sorry, you gotta. I can see myself.
No, I want to get you.
I like to entertain myself. That's all I need. He walked in to office with the biggest hand-gifted amount of political capital. I don't care what you do with it. Do something. He did nothing. When Trump walked in, Trump said, oh, well, I got to deal with all them, but I could just, executive orders. I could just do that. And he just went crazy. I don't understand why people who consider themselves the good guys always go about things in a way that never, ever seem to hold up. Ever.
Because you're saying the Michelle Obama thing we shouldn't do, which is when they go low, we go high. That's not really.
When they go low, find another tunnel.
But that's not applicable though, because well, first of all, you just said Trump, right? So when Trump went into office, the unemployment rate was at 4%. What I'm just saying, when Obama was in office, when he walked in office, it was close to 10%.
I agree.
It's a complete. So he waltzed into office with the economy running on all cylinders. What I'm saying is it's a different environment. It's a different environment.
I'm not disputing whether or not he had a harder America to work with. What I'm saying is America was, this is going to sound so bad. America was like a chick who just got out of a toxic, physically abusive relationship. Okay. And Obama was a good, rich man with a bald head that just adopted a little white girl named Annie. He could have done anything. As long as it came out positive, it would have looked good. Instead, he did a bunch of half measures that were easily destroyed by the next person. He wasted this. You're not feeling me.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
All the stuff he did in the economy, I respect it. Yes, he did a great job. While he was doing that, he should have been sliding some stuff in for black people. He should have been sliding some stuff in. He should have been having beers with police officers who beat up black professors. He shouldn't have been trying to be Clinton. He was trying to be a centrist. That's his damn problem.
There's the word I was looking for.
Oh, it's coming. It's the most disgusting word in politics.
Centrist?
It's like it's a political bisexual. Get off the fence, Heffa. Pick a side. Pick a side. That's how I feel. He tried to play the middle and got dusted. Everything he did got erased. He gave up the single payer option like that.
Yeah.
And started playing in the middle. How you gonna play in the middle when what you want is over there? What you want is way that way, but you're gonna start in the middle? Is that how negotiations are? I'm confused. I watch cartoons, and in cartoons they say, all I got is $50. He want 100. I'm gonna start at 52. No, nigga, start at 12.
And I'm still mad at him for a public option in the damn healthcare bill, because that was the one thing we kept seeing. Push it in. Put the public option in.
Push the public option.
And but it wasn't there. But it wasn't there.
A camera.
It was in there.
But Republicans took it out.
Right. And when did it happen? When Kennedy died, the last vote to make the bill go over. That's what I'm saying.
Sir,
so once he died
into his first term.
I'm sorry?
What year into his first term did Kennedy die?
That was what, like 2017? Oh, I'm sorry, not 2017. I'm getting my years mixed up. Obama year. So that's like 2010.
And what year was that in his first term?
The what?
What year was that in his first term?
It was in 2009.
Right. What year was that in his first term?
I don't know.
He had 4 years in his first term. What year in his first term was that?
That he was doing
that Kennedy died.
Right.
First year.
Okay.
Right.
He had 12 months.
Oh, Lord. Come on, Mike. Really?
Bro,
really?
The stuff with the economy takes time. Everyone knows that.
Right.
Only idiots think the president can affect the gas. That's them. Those people.
Of course.
We don't listen to them. I'm talking about people who are politically astute. They understand it's going to take time. So you cannot give 100% of your time to one thing. You cannot, especially if you have the greatest amount of political capital in the history of America. This man had old white people looking at him like, you can do it, black guy. Be better than him. When that occurs, you put your penis on the table and you do whatever you want. That's how you move. If I walk in the room and these women ain't seen a man in 10 years and I'm the first, my chubby, fat, ugly ass is the first man they see, I'm coming in there with all the swag and cockiness you ever seen. Hey, get over here. I want my ravioli heated up. You can keep it in the can. That's cool. We come over here. You hit on my neck. I like my neck licked from this kind of cockwa. I'm talking all kind of stuff.
So, but Mike,
and he did nothing.
All those things you're saying may sound great dramatically. However, you cannot get around the state of the economy. I remember those times vividly.
So do
IBM, 500,000 jobs gone. It's Microsoft, all these places just dropping jobs out the ass. That was an economy that was so, and again, that's due to the banks and their issues. Oh my God. But anyway.
No, stay on the surface. Don't go deep. Stay on the surface. The
I'm just saying, so
beans.
Right.
What that got to do with the rest of his time? You can only do so much in a day for the economy.
But Mike, I said
today
I understand that.
What you doing the rest of the time?
But Mike, you have 100 years worth of presidents trying to pass healthcare. You're trying to pass that and do come on, Mike, that don't sound reasonable at all.
Sir.
Those are two very astronomical things to do. And now you're saying he has to do it simultaneously, but we're okay with Trump.
Saying.
That's exactly what you're saying.
No.
You're saying you have X amount of hours in the day.
There are a plethora of other things he could have done. He could have did stuff for black people. He could have tried to push reparations.
Okay, let's get into that too. Let's get into.
There was a bunch of things he could have started. At least started.
Right. But
he didn't do nothing.
What I'm trying to say though, Mike, is that how you gonna be the first black president ever, and then you go up there and you pass your blackety black bill? How that's gonna look?
Easy.
He would have never got reelected. You know that.
Obama.
So you would have killed.
If he got a bunch of blackety black stuff through,
no.
He would have got. If he would have got blackety black stuff through, he would have got some Latino-y stuff through, got some gay alphabet stuff through. He would have had all the minorities for the second go round and the fake woke white people for the second go round. But he didn't do nothing. All he did was stand there as they made up their bone through nose posters and call his wife a gorilla and didn't do nothing, and then had beers with cops and made cameras that didn't do nothing because they got a mute button on them.
It's very nice, Mike.
All he did was embolden the conglomerates that you speak of, Venkat.
Yeah.
And put them in power. That's what he did.
Thank you.
All the stuff that you talk about, Venkat, when it comes to big companies.
Yeah.
Biden is the reason that they have the power that they have. Listen.
Biden power wasn't there before.
Not Biden. I'm sorry. Obama. I'm sorry. I said the same. Hell, you might as well call them the same at the end of the day. But anyway.
Go ahead.
Obama did these things that you see as an alleviation of the economic problems that we had. But at the same time, he gave more power to the companies. I mean, we can start right off front with the bank crisis and Chrysler. He emboldened those companies, point blank. Period. Now you may look at it as a savior of a essential source. I don't, because I'm for laissez-faire capitalism. Hell, if you die, you die. It is what it is. So he emboldened these companies like the investment groups, like Chrysler, and gave them more power based off their failure. Obamacare, he emboldened the insurance companies, even to the point where, hell, when the Republicans tried to repeal it, they couldn't because of the regulations that the insurance companies got and the amount of premiums that they got through the new calculations. It was incredible. Obamacare should have never existed. Hell, so, he's probably the worst. Go ahead, Venkat.
No. Keep going.
Push back.
I'm gonna say.
No, push back. No, let's push back on that point.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So let me continue then. Yeah. As far as foreign policy, he's probably the worst. I ain't gonna call him the worst, but one of the worst foreign policy presidents that directly affects us as Americans. Let's start with the Libyan crisis. You do the Libyan crisis. First and foremost, you don't do it congressionally. So what he did was unconstitutional, trying to use the War Powers Act, which was a lie. So he unconstitutionally went into Libya and assassinated Gaddafi, which started a whole precipice of North African and Nema and Arab conflicts. So he's the catalyst of that. 2014, the Israel crisis. This stuff that's going on in Israel right now, you can directly link what Obama did in 2014 with Israel and Syria. Direct link. Hell,
Right.
what's another one? What's another one? As far as foreign policy.
Yeah.
Hell, you might as well call DACA foreign policy. That's what it is to me. DACA is the catalyst to everything that's going on right now with open borders in this country right now. Black communities are being devastated in sanctuary cities based on the ideology of Obama and DACA. What's another one? Net neutrality. Net neutrality. He emboldened big tech with net neutrality.
Wait a minute. Net neutrality. How's that Obama? When I remember,
go ahead.
No, I vividly remember there was a guy linked to the Trump administration pushing net neutrality.
I don't disagree with you. Who started?
Okay. I'm just saying. It's like it's just weird.
The entry of net neutrality, not the continuation.
Remember, I said catalyst, Venkat. Obama has been a catalyst for a lot of crazy stuff. Net neutrality is one of them, and direct links to the regulation of big tech, and Silicon Valley today are based on those onsets of net neutrality. Hell, what's another? Freedom of speech. The whole thing with the colleges. You remember that? The colleges with professors not being able to opinionate certain things within the college. Free speech. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk today got a letter from the EU saying that a lot of stuff that's going on with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Palestinian-wise, has to be taken down within 24 hours, or EU gonna put sanctions on Elon Musk. So what I'm telling you is, Obama was the precipice of a lot of things that go on in this country today that are highly unconstitutional, highly ineffective in regards to the sanctity of the American people. Now, that don't take away from stuff that Trump did. So essentially, Trump, for the most part, sat on his ass. I ain't gonna say that he didn't. But what I'm saying is, under Trump, you didn't get a lot of the imposing regulations to a lot of these companies. So for that, I give them a 1-up already.
So no regulations on these companies was a good thing. If we would have had regulations on the banks, doing what they were doing in the market, gambling on and betting on people's failure, and all these crazy things that created the financial collapse that we had to experience, where people that are not even involved, everybody in the country pretty much felt this, except if you're uber rich. And now after it happened, we pass a soft bill, Dodd-Frank bill, and then Trump gets into office and get rid of that bill. How is that making things better as far as having capitalists walk around freely to do whatever? And then when bad things happen, they get bailed out, and we go through the same thing. If this happened again, it's the same thing's gonna happen. They're gonna get bailed out again. And then as soon as they get the bail,
but I'm saying that's the problem. That's the problem. I agree with everything you said. But I think that's the problem.
But they're too big to fail, guys. Remember, Enron came in. Remember, Fannie Mae and company. They were too big to fail. If you remember, this was.
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in that?
Let them fail.
Well, I mean, that was my viewpoint at the day. I was like, let them go. But they're saying, economists are saying that it would have been a catastrophic, right? So you think the Great Depression of that era, we're talking about what, 1929 to about 10 years later. I mean, that was a dark period in America. We would have had that again if you would have let that happen.
The reason that the Great Depression occurred, to me, is because they didn't have innovations that could have been put in place or used to overtake the things that they were missing. I think the country that we are now, we'd have been down for 2-3 years, and something would have happened somebody would have made a TikTok or somebody would have made something, and we'd have jumped right back up. That's all.
Nah, because we can't even handle COVID. We can't even handle COVID. So how are we gonna handle that?
Hold on.
We can't even handle COVID.
We can't handle COVID because we're trying to get the government to do it. Don't make me sound like MD. I'm not talking about the government solving it. I'm talking about people.
You know if I'm breaking up, y'all. I'm breaking up.
It's cool.
Go out and come back in, MD.
I'm talking about people.
No, it's where I'm at. It's where I'm at. It's my signal.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're good.
I'm saying American citizens would have found a way. They'd have had some businesses grow out of somewhere. Same thing with the way that
I don't
have taken
Mike, I ain't buying none of that crap. They want to find no goddamn
No, Venkat, listen. No, Venkat. Venkat, listen. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You going off of what old white?
Oh no, I'm going.
Go ahead, MD.
I was gonna say real quick. Here's the difference between 2008 and the Great Depression.
Yeah,
we have far more venture capitalists in today's society than we ever did in the Great Depression day. We didn't need the government to bail them out. The private entities could have easily bailed out Chrysler. Could have easily bailed out Freddie Mac and all of that because they got the capital to do so. This ain't the Great Depression where we still prospecting different industry. You act like we in the Wild West. This ain't the Wild West no more, Venkat. People got the bread. People got the bread, and they're willing to invest it.
Are we sure about that?
I'm positive about that.
Okay.
You telling me you don't think people with money trying to make more money? You out of your mind? What country you live in? That's all they do.
So allow the private industries to bail themselves out. The government don't need to do that.
Facts.
Go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. You went away.
Yeah, I'm here. I hear you.
No,
that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. All right.
And
so what's that? Mike.
And I agree. You listening to a bunch of old white men that are telling you stuff from the 40s. I don't want to hear that. This is the world is 100% different. If those companies would have collapsed, there'd have been some innovative white teenager who would have made something that would have took over a majority of whatever the hell problems existed. Every time there's a deficit of something, there's a rich white guy to fill it in and make money off of it. That's what people do. If Fannie Mae fell out, somebody else would have made Freddie Boo.
No. Okay, so you guys are comparing way different time periods and eras. So back in the Great Depression era, the world wasn't as connected as it is today. When it's a world economy today, it'll be a way bigger price to pay talking reckless like that. See, we're not putting ourselves in the real time when these things were happening. We're doing a lot of after the fact Monday morning quarterbacking. There's real consequences for some of these things that we're saying. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, you got a guy dealing with the worst situation since the worst situation, and we're doing other things for specific groups of people. Politically, that don't make sense. It wouldn't make any sense, and you would pay a political price down the road. In politics, it's like chess. There's always a move for a move, and you got to be able to know what you're doing. Plus, he's one of the youngest guys going in, so that's why he's surrounding themselves with a lot of veteran people that happen to be connected mostly to the Clintons and whatnot.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, that was his first problem, trying to be connected to Clinton, because Clinton beat.
Wait, hold on. I want a reality check on that, because in history, when you look at what Bill Clinton did, name another president in the modern era that left office with a surplus. Name another president that reduced the deficit in his term. So I don't know where this,
Hold on.
taking away all this credit from Bill Clinton. Clinton just freaked up at the end when he got caught with that Lewinsky stuff.
I'm not taking anything away.
And
from
he
Bill
got
Clinton.
impeached for it.
What I'm trying to say is,
name
another president that
Yeah.
left such a gap of respect for the presidency that they allowed a C+ student to become president. Okay, then. Thank you. So, like I was saying.
Wait a minute. Hold on. That's incorrect as well. No, but I'm just responding. Come on now, Mike.
You asked me a question and I answered it.
And you just said something. I want to respond to it, Mike.
I answered.
By the way, any president during that era of Clinton would have had a surplus because of the industry boom at the time. That was the tech boom. Any president would have had that.
So MD.
He had silicone boots on.
Yeah, MD. So magically, Reagan leaves, no surplus. Bush 1 leaves, no surplus. The guy after Clinton leaves, no surplus. And everybody since then, no surplus. But magically, anybody who would have been there would have gotten it. That's a hard one to buy there, MD. You got to show
it was millions of jobs created from the tech industry. Millions.
It's fine.
Everybody had a job. Everybody, and a good job.
You starting to make me think Trevor's right about you. You just
he a communist. I told you, a communist.
Okay.
And see how all
if he would have walked in and not tried to be Clinton 2.0, he could have had a better presidency.
And just a little sidebar there, because how all of this is going to tie back in with China. The same problem that you see is that when everybody's worrying about why we're so worried about China, Taiwan comes into play here. Because of Taiwan and the agreement that we signed with them, this is why China will never in a minute, they could try all they want through provocation, but they will never try to attempt to take over Taiwan. You know why? Because the minute they do that, we go to war. That was an agreement that was signed because of the tech companies, the Silicon Valley companies that they have in Taiwan. It's enough to shut down our economy if they decide to go bust. That's how important Taiwan is to the United States. So all this we need to tie back in to why China and how, well, I guess when Venkat goes further in the program, we'll see how Obama versus Trump gets into play here with all of that, because that ties. Well, I just want to put that as a sidebar.
Right. So let's continue on. So I'll put up a couple graphics here. So Trump, when he first got into office, he claimed that he's inherited a mess, which is absurd. But so let's take a look at this graphic. Tell me what we're ascertaining from this graphic. Did Trump create or inherit a strong U.S. economy? So when we look at the timeline and we see that graph go up, it only fell during the end of Trump's term, but it was pretty much, I'll go on a limb here. It looked like that line was just heading that direction. So somebody put their crusty white ass in the chair and just went along for a ride. Is it safe to say that that is the circumstance that we see here?
I'm starting to see what the problem is. I'm starting to see the problem.
What's that?
The problem is you think there's a huge difference between Trump and Obama.
Oh, Lord. Go ahead. Keep going, Mike.
Like, they're bad in different ways, but they were both bad. Trump is just horrible outright. I'll give you that. And let's be clear. Some people think that Trump is the one who gave us all the money, and he was the one who was it was already in the Democratic. But idiots are gonna say what idiots say. I'm not talking to dumb people.
Facts.
But you can't. Here's the difference.
Go ahead.
Trump is the little chubby white kid in Lord of the Flies that got a little bit of power and went crazy.
Lord of the Fly reference.
That's him. Obama
Yeah.
was a grown man that walked into a daycare, and by the time he left out, when somebody came to take his shift over, everybody had doo-doo in his drawers, and he had been watching football all day. He ain't do nothing else. That's the difference. It's a more mature mess up, but it's still wrong.
So you say like everybody is messed up or bad in different ways, right? Would you say in your
messed up or bad? That's not what I'm saying. I'm
What's
saying
that?
they both had a job to do. Okay,
Right.
Trump
Right.
was already mentally deficient politically, so he was only going to be C- good. That was as good as he could get, and he did D-.
But he was a smart person in his.
Obama could have been A+, and he gave me C+ work. That's why I'm upset. I'm not saying Trump is better than him. I'm not saying
you wanted more. You wanted more.
Oh, I'm saying Obama owed me more because he
I get
sold
that.
me that.
I can get that sentiment. I can get that
Sold me
sentiment.
hope. He sold me that he knew what he was doing. He sold me that he was going to go in there and he was going to wreck some shop and not become Clinton 2.0, which is what he became, which is not what I wanted. I did not want another 93 crime bill. I did not want another. The best thing you could say about his office is that he had no scandals. That's the best thing you can say about him. Because everything else I can poke hole. Just the police cameras. Just that.
He had it in his hands and fumbled with that.
Just that. I didn't even get to health insurance, which he fumbled. Just that. Come on, son. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's the way you feel about it. I don't look at it that way.
I'm heartbroken. He could have been the man, bro. He could have been Jordan.
I don't think so. I think that there's a messiah complex here where we think that we do. We feel like President of the United States is going to be King of the United States, and all these things are going to get done, knowing that there's different degrees, different divisions within government, and things that have to get done. There's negotiations, there's give and there's take. This is what politics is. And when I'm just saying, a lot of that failure actually comes from the voters as well. Whereas that 2010 election, that was the defining moment of a lot of the hardship that came.
Why did it happen?
It happened because people said, I voted for Obama, and boom, you do it, make everything good. They didn't follow through with the midterm because a lot of people, even some of my family, believe that we don't have to vote, or we vote in the main election, but we're not going to do those other elections. I'll just do. A lot of people have that mindset.
They do. I'm not disputing
and so yeah, you have a person that is saying, "Hey, we could do these things." And I remember Obama said this before. He's like, he was asked a question about doing something, and he's like, "I'm not going to get ahead of any more issues." I guess ever since the healthcare, get ahead and push and take all those hits if I don't have the people coming along. We need a grassroots movement, and then I will come along and give the final push. But that's not what we got. We put Obama in there, and now magically all our dreams and aspirations and perfect man has to now exist. Meanwhile, we're providing a lot of guide for a lot of shade for a very flawed individual and a very flawed party to be able to just go in there without any recourse.
Hold on, Venkat. At one point in time, didn't Obama have the House and the Senate at one point in time?
Yes, the 2 years. The 2 years.
Oh no, not a half a term.
Yeah, the 2 years.
Oh, no. Which he couldn't do nothing in 2 years.
The 2 years that he was passing for the economy, and then he went into the healthcare. Come on.
Let me say this, and then I'm gonna step back because I think you three are way more politically astute than I am, and I love you as a threesome. Pause. But I need to say this.
Yeah.
You know Colorado, the College of Colorado, right? University of Colorado.
Yeah.
we all know who their coach is, right?
Yeah.
Deion Sanders came there. He made a bunch of big moves. He made a bunch of portal moves. He brought a bunch of people. He had a large following, right?
Right.
And then he came in and he won a small victory. And then he followed that up with another small victory.
Yeah.
And followed that up with another small victory. And do you know what those little victories did every time he got one? It made his fan base grow It was already big, but it made them grow bigger and it made them solid because they were like, this man is showing us the promise that we believed in. We believed he was going to do something, and he's already done it. That's why he could lose, and he won't, but he could lose the rest of his games. But because he built that up initially, those small victories that made his people feel like, yeah, I'm a Colorado fan. They don't even know the mascot, but they love Deion. That is the reason Colorado is going to win a title. And if he stays there for 4 years, they're going to be in a national championship. I believe that because he solidified. You don't get out of here, MD. I ain't playing with you. Stop.
Yeah. Don't try to equate this to Coach Klein.
I'm just using this. It's a metaphor, MD. Let it go. Obama walked in with Deion levels of people begging for him. Just show us something. Please, sir, could I please have some more? They were Oliver. Just,
Oliver.
Is that gravy?
You talking about
They were
Oliver
begging.
Samuels? You talking about Oliver Samuels?
They were begging. And Obama came in there, and instead of doing something, why do you think Trump is so beloved? Trump walked in and just started bombing stuff. What? Hell yeah, we're going to do this, and I'm going to write an executive order for this, and I don't care if it don't stick. We're going to do it. And them rednecks was like, hell yeah, that's my president. And they'll never leave him.
When
They'll
Deion
never
Sanders,
leave him because he came in and did something. Obama tried to come in and act like I'm above all this. I'm going to be the president and the Pope at the same time.
I get that, Mike. I get that. But
if you want, let me finish and I'm gonna go. If you want people to stay with you in the midterms, you had 2 years to do something. Don't get me wrong. The economy was most important. I'm not taking that away.
But you kind of are, Mike.
You have, as a president, let's say you have 12 working hours in a day, okay? You're not spending 12 hours working on the economy. You could have been doing something else. You should have been doing something else. You should have been doing something to make the people who put you in office happy. They put you in office.
He was doing DACA.
Man, get out of here. I said the people that put him in office. The people that put him in office. If you can't tell me that 90-some% of black people that showed up to put him in office wouldn't have showed up for the second term. I mean, wouldn't have showed up in 2 years after if they felt like that man was still riding with him. He was not. He was doing everything for everyone else. And they were like, well, I guess he's going to be Clinton. Let me go back to my barbecue. That's what happened. You can paint it any way you want. You can say what you want. The man stood there and acted like Latinos and gays were way more important than his black people. He should have came in, said, hey, Latinos, here's a sprinkle. Hey, gays, here's a sprinkle. Hey, black people, here's paprika. That's what it should have done. And I'm done. You gentlemen have a wonderful show. I really love you guys, the Triumvirate. I think you're very knowledgeable. You don't need my foolishness, but keep going.
Where you leaving?
Because I promise we'll talk about it later. Y'all go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Just listen in, man.
Yes,
peace,
I'm gonna listen.
Mike.
I'm waiting for your gifts, your jewels, MD. And y'all stop cutting Ricardo off. Ricardo, talk.
You said,
all right. I don't know what happened just now, but we'll pick up with Ricardo. Ricardo, you didn't have a chance to speak just a moment ago.
No, I'm good. I was just saying, like, I wanted to answer or ask you guys, based on what Trevor was saying in the chat, what did you think about if Obama had the option? The question was, based on what Trevor was saying, how would it have been different with Obama had he had COVID on his hands as a president? What do you guys think he would have done differently?
He would have done everything different. And a lot of the same. He would have tried to get more shots in people's arms. He would have tried to bring the vaccine out. He would try to bring more awareness. He would have tried to get more masks. The basic, simple things that you would need to do to overcome this issue.
But
and as a matter of fact, he did create the blueprint to dealing with COVID. He did it in 2014 and left that there for Trump.
H1Z1. H1, what is it, H1N1?
He left the program there, and Trump disregarded it. So that just adds to the frustration. There are plenty of that's why I said we can't even handle COVID. There were plenty of signs. There were plenty of things that we should have been better prepared to handle COVID. We didn't. And we can't ignore, we always absolve Trump from that last year, 2020, because his numbers fell off the freaking cliff. But a lot of what he did, the actions he chose, is what made COVID go for so long and be so destructive. Had he been more pragmatic on it and got on it and really temper it down, it wouldn't have been as bad. But whatever.
What should he have done differently? I'm intrigued.
Trump or Obama?
Yeah, Trump.
Well, okay, so we know Trump actively was one of the first people to get the shot at home in private. But then on TV, he's saying negative things about it because he's playing politics. He's playing politics, and he's doing both ends of the fence. And I don't think that was right. I don't think that he.
I agree with that point. He was playing politics based on what a lot of Democratic states and cities were doing. I don't disagree with it.
Right.
But that doesn't take away from the fact.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I was gonna say that don't take away from the fact that every individual person had a right to refuse the vaccination. Now, what's going on with a pandemic situation? Well, now I'll give you this one, Venkat. I disagree with how the rollout took place in terms of us coming out of what you call it, what lockdown, and us being forcibly, like the way that they put certain rules and regulations on companies. Now, again, you got my check with that, but it don't take away from the fact that every individual person had the legal right to refuse the vaccine. That's why you had that political stance that Trump made, because you had a lot of Democratic states, a lot of Democratic municipalities forcing themselves upon the American people when it came to the vaccination. So with that, I get your point.
So do you feel that it's right that the person that has COVID has the right to not disclose it while being around others, untreated, on everything? Shouldn't the people that have a right to know that, hey, first of all, you have COVID, go home or whatever? Why are their confidentiality more important than my right to not have COVID? Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant.
Okay, that goes back to the point I just made, which I agree with you. I didn't agree with the rollout based on how they did it. Now, for instance, saying if the rollout came a little bit better as far as how it was distributed, you would have an argument. But it's not. The culpability is not on the person infected; it's the person defending the infection.
Right.
Even Fauci said that. So what we're talking about is the allocation should have been put in place better for the American people in order to defend themselves against the virus, i.e., vaccinations if you want it, PPE, so on and so forth. That's not on the opposing view of a person that's infected. Public domain is public domain for a reason. I got the right. Hell, if I got the damn black plague, I got the right to go out on the street. You have the right. You have the responsibility to protect yourself from such plague. And that's what it comes to when we talk about how the rollout took place. I don't agree with how the rollout took place. That how Trump did that was wrong.
Right.
It should have been more concerted effort to roll it out and distributed it effectively. It wasn't.
Right.
I agree.
But then he gets the benefit of the doubt on that again, like on his last year. Well, we're looking at the first 3 years. We're going to ignore, but his actions created that failure in that 2020. So when you look at these numbers that we're going to look into, it kind of affects his overall presidency, and it's kind of ridiculous to look at. So, Ricardo, anything else you want to add on that, because you brought it up, because
Sure.
Trevor brought it up.
What I wanted to say about that was the fact that I just didn't like how the vaccination rollout was done, and they told us that you should do like 1 shot, then 2 shot, then 3. So when that happened, it was like, okay, well, what's the point of us doing all these vaccinations if you knew we only needed 1 shot? So that's why I brought it up, and I thought Trevor brought a tremendous.
Okay.
That's why I brought it up, just to cement it in, because Trevor brought it up as well.
Okay. All right. So next thing I want to look at here is here's a tweet from Trump, and this is the constant brag that he makes. African American unemployment fell to 6.8%, the lowest rate in 45 years. All right, so he's very happy about this news, and he's touted this news for a while. So let's take a look here at this graph. This is from Obama to Trump. This is the Black unemployment rate. Again, we have a very similar story here, where we see a trajectory going a certain way. As you can see that line, that's where Trump came in. Is it? Am I reaching? Am I being crazy? Do we not all see where this line is headed? I'm asking. I'm legitimately asking.
Yeah, I see it. I'm driving, but I see it.
Okay. I mean, I just wanted to know, because we have Trump. Trump is a lot of talk and no action, whether you want to admit it or not. His thing is not about actual quality or products. Hence the failed ventures, right? You had Trump Steaks, Trump's University, Trump this, Trump that. I mean, how you gonna have a casino? The house supposed to win, but he went bankrupt 6 times. There's something about his business that's not right. But what he does have is a mouthpiece and a way to get people's attention. And by constantly repeating something which may or may not be, usually not be, true. It's usually not true. But if you repeat it enough times, you'll make people feel a certain way. A half truth is also a lie. Telling half the truth and not disclosing the full story, as we see the full story on that screen. So a lot of people run with this ridiculous narrative. They put no information or interest to find out information on really what's going on. So any words, any interest on talking about this aspect?
Go ahead, Ricardo. You got it, sir.
Go ahead, Ricardo.
Oh, I think you're on baby time, because I heard the baby in the background. Oh, there you go.
He's breaking up a little bit.
Like terrible as well. Yeah, I mean, looking at the graph here, what it's showing, like, for my position on this. Neither one of them really did that much for the community to begin with, but if I was to go by what we show in statistics wise, a 53% decrease compared to Trump's, which is 31.1, really and truly, can you really give anybody that much clout here when it comes to like who really benefited or did the most for the Black community? I mean, if we're gonna throw it a hand, we're gonna throw it to Obama, not really again, based on what Mike is saying, didn't really do much. You had the opportunity to come in and help, with the community, like, trying to at least push the agenda. But again, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and say, well, maybe he would have, if he had done what we thought he should have been doing for the Black community, maybe he would have gotten a lot of, oh my God, well, here, because, the white supremacy group would have then reared their head and said, oh, well, look at him. Look what we did. We gave this man an opportunity to come in. Look what he's doing. He's helping them out, the other side. So I could kind of give him the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe he didn't want to do that and then become an issue. But at the same length and breath, you had the opportunity in the first term. The second term, I can understand, but the first term, you could have done something. You didn't do that much for your community. So you can't be upset now when we're seeing the statistics that, hey, we're kind of coming down hard on you. Some of us.
I think that there's something to be said about people wanting 8 years to repair, replace, and fix 400. I don't know if that flies. This is not a thing. Politics, these charges to a certain objective, you don't get that stuff done like immediately. Like when I'm just saying, you have, it's time. It takes years and decades and insight and being locked in and focus. And if you don't have that, you don't get Martin Luther King being able to go to the White House and help pass some bills that help Black people vote, and then somebody might look at that. That's it. That's all we got with the vote. That's what we're up against right now.
True.
So you got a guy. He entered again. This fact cannot be overlooked. You go in.
We're not disagreeing.
Go ahead.
But at the same length of breath, you left office though with with a book deal that gave you a surplus of money.
No, so, that's his own thing. I mean,
yeah, it's his own thing. You still benefited off the backs of the people that put you in there, didn't you? So it's like, come on, you could have done something, but instead your pockets got really hefty when you left. So, I mean, you kind of have to see that side as well.
Well, if we're talking about pockets getting hefty, I mean, the whole time Trump was in office, he didn't want to. He didn't really, want to relinquish certain interests, business interests that may have been conflicts of interest as a president. I mean, Donald Trump has hotels and whatnot that he owns, and when the Secret Service goes with him, he has the Secret Service stay at his hotels, and they had to pay to stay there. I mean, it's just like little things like that doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, I'm not doing a complete bashing thing here, and I love the exchange as far as I want the pushback. I need the pushback. I want to have that, and that's the discussion we need. We need that. So that when you push back, I need to say my thing, and then I need to hear your side of it. And I can understand some points. Some points I don't get. Some points I think is just straight unreasonable at times. But this is the kind of discussion we really need. Now, Trevor is what is that? A violin, really? Trevor is this. I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that.
Just to add on. What about the HBCUs that he could have helped or assisted? Why didn't he go in and help the colleges?
Hey, I can't say nothing about that, and that's valid points right there. That's valid points. But I just think and I remember some comedian here made fun of the situation that Obama was in. He was like, I wouldn't want to be the first one. Yeah, I'll be number 5 or 10. First Black one, 5 or 10 Black president, because it just seems like I've never seen anything like it where everything is like super focused on he has to resolve this, he has to fix this. And remember, again, Obama is not the king of blacks. He's a person, and everybody has their own interests, biases, and things that they're focused on. And he went with a big swing, healthcare. It got frigged up, right? He got frigged up, but at the end of the day, he still passed it, which still allowed people to be able to have their kids. I think up to 28 or whatever, which was not there. I'm just saying, it's just it's an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, we got more. Anything else on that, MD?
Nah. You pretty much covered it. And like I said, you have to also take consideration that we were alleviating the pressure of the recession. So of course, black employment, just statistically, black employment is going to decrease based off of that. And also,
right, because it's high as hell. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And also take consideration, and this is a point to Obama, that we had a black entrepreneurial boom during that time too. So take that into account.
Right.
So yeah, good point.
There's the overall unemployment under Obama to Trump. Same kind of trajectory, same kind there as well. So I'm going to put up two graphs, one after the other. So these are the numbers, the up and down numbers for different categories. There's a lot on the screen, but we'll just focus in on certain ones. First, we'll do Obama since he was first. So here, Barack Obama's numbers for his presidency. So overall, the final report came in 2017. Jobs, he was up. Unemployment rate down. Job openings was up. The median household income was up. Earnings weekly was up. Home price values was up. They have all kinds of signs and stats on here. Any takeaways from this portion of the numbers on Obama's side? Anything that grabs anyone's attention or eyes?
I can't see none of that.
You can't. Oh, you're driving.
Yeah, like I said, I'm driving, man. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
I'll piggyback.
Okay, Ricardo. Anything on your end?
I'm looking at it right now. The one thing that probably stood out to me is the fact that he did the environmental aspect of, because you can see like there's certain things that increase, like the wind and solar power. But most of that grabbed from off of the European side in terms of like what Germany's advancement is doing compared to what this country is doing in terms of keeping up with the pace.
Right.
The one other thing that really bothered me, though, in looking at the graph here, is probably the immigration.
Immigration, okay.
Yeah, that's probably that's attributed to the DACA issue that he had when he was trying to make everybody, or try to make them all citizens. If the kids were here for a time, and that was how much. I'm trying to look at it from here. It's kind of small. The violent crime decreased by 16%, and then the military. I mean, of course, that will always balloon because
exactly the military industrial complex,
which you're going to see in the next coming months, because with the Ukraine and Russia and the Hamas and the Middle East conflict now, that's gonna really put everything in overdrive. So watch and see how the economy either goes up or down based on what we're seeing for the trajectory of what's to come. My issue now with that is inflation, but that's a whole other story, and the recession coming in because of these wars. But that's a whole other topic for another time. But based on the graph, what I'm seeing, yeah, that's the only thing that really jumps out, other than the crude oil production by 77% is another thing, and coal.
Right.
I think I'm mad. Is it Maria G? That's her name. Isn't here this week?
Oh, right. From last week.
Right.
Oh, the week before. Yeah.
He had brought up something in regards to when I was talking about NAFTA turning into the SCA, which is what NAFTA is now called. And I was explaining to her how globalization and the interconnectedness works. because of that. But she ain't here, so I can't even argue it.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Venkat. Let me real
sir.
quick. Do
Yes,
you
sir.
think green energy is viable in the United States?
Is viable or could be viable?
The thought process of green energy, is it viable in the United States?
Not as much as it should be, but that's because of big oil interests, right? They're not. They can lobby to make sure that those initiatives don't fully get rolled out properly.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Okay.
All right.
Hey, let me hold on. One more question. Is it viable in the Rocky Mountains?
Probably not. Probably
Okay.
not.
Okay. All right. That's all. That's all.
I feel like they can find a way. So they could find a way to make things happen, I feel. But we're not even at that table. That's the whole problem. It's like we should be looking into those things, you know. But we're not. We're not really in there like that.
Okay. All right. And to Ricardo's point about how a lot of European countries are tying into green energy, there's still predominantly nuclear power in a lot of European countries. The reason being is in a lot of these areas in Europe, it's just not viable to have green energy. In some countries, yeah. I mean, hell, you can make an argument for a country like Norway. Hell, they've been doing it for hundreds of years, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So I get the aspect of having a placement for green energy. It's just not going to be viable everywhere in the country, period. So trying to make it seem as though that it is a lie that a lot of Democrats use.
But couldn't the areas that have the opportunity to do it?
They can, but
a whole country has to stay backwards because there are a few small areas that are not viable.
No, the whole country shouldn't have to pay for it.
But this is a country, right? This is a union, right?
That's comprised of states.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm just saying we're part of. You know, they don't say like, the military for Oklahoma and the military for Texas is going to go fight this war, and everybody else stay back. No, it's the United States. We go all out.
Yeah, you just did a red herring. That's fine, Venkat. What I'm gonna say is this: you have several states right now, that use a lot of green energy in a lot of municipalities. Hell, all you gotta do is drive through Indiana, drive through parts of Ohio. They're not getting they're not using on the onset. Let me say they weren't using federal funding for that. That was a state initiative. Now this goes back to me saying that companies being emboldened. Now, if I'm gonna use Biden as an example with Green New Deal, now we get into a situation where we're providing stepping stools for a lot of these green energy companies to put a stranglehold on the industry in that particular area, being backed by federal funding, and that's what I disagree with.
Okay.
It can stay a state issue and leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So we'll go into Trump's numbers. So I'll put that up on the screen here. All right. So this is Donald Trump's numbers. This was final reported on 2021.
Okay.
All right. So as we can see, jobs down. Unemployment rate is up. That's surprising. Now I didn't think that. Job openings is up. You have real weekly earnings. That's up. Economic growth rate is down. Medium household income is up. The poverty rate is down. Murder is up for obvious reasons because there was a rise of white supremacy during his administration. and we can't unsee that. We know what that is about. A lot of hate groups got brave, pretty much. So anything we see here on the Trump numbers that sticks out, anything notable or newsworthy?
I'm looking around.
Y'all, yeah, y'all have to point me in. I can't see.
All right, so just to give you a brief down, so we're showing that jobs are negative 2.8. I'm assuming this is the median household income is plus 6%.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm watching it on a TV. I can see everything gloriously. It's yeah, everything. On a phone. I'm looking at my phone. It is going to be harder because it's not widescreen, but
Right. I'm just looking at where you did point out the murder rate was plus 1.1.
yeah. Plus, the murder rate is.
The home ownership is what I'm looking at. Based on the economy, is plus 2.1 points, and then
You see coal mining jobs down negative 8,500.
Manufacturing was down a negative 154.
Which that was something he touted in his campaign, was manufacturing jobs coming back.
And then the consumer price index went up plus 7.6%. So it's not so bad. I know the corporate profit would have went up under him, which was plus 8.5%.
You see the handgun production. I didn't remember what Obama's is. I'm sure it probably was higher. Once Blackie became president, they wanted to go get some guns.
Well, don't forget the NRAs and what you call it with Trump would have attributed to the plus 12.5%.
Right.
Rising.
Let me flash over there real quick. The gun. What the hell's it? Oh yeah, it was up 207%. What?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna be like that.
So, based on what we're contrasting here, yeah.
Wow.
Get you one today.
God, 207% handgun production when he was president, when Obama was president. My God. Let's go back to Trump. Wow, that is ridiculous. I was playing, but I knew it'd be a little up there. So you see how it went down with Trump. I mean, even though it's up, it's not as up as, oh man. That's disappointing.
That's surprising, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not an industry. I mean, that's an industry. So why is that disappointing?
Because you know what's fueling those sales. You know what's fueling those sales, and those sales they ceased at that level once Krusty came in.
He's a Krusty, but
yeah.
But don't forget, though, we do. I mean, your Constitution does tell you have the rights to bear arms, so you can't really, be upset.
But it's hard. It's hard when you look at 12.5% versus 207%. There's no glossing around that. That is a specific thing there.
Good. So hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Look at it from this aspect, Venkat.
Okay.
During Trump's presidency, you had a lot of black people that were forming gun organizations and buying guns because of the rhetoric that was spewed by his base. Correct?
Right. Oh, you're breaking up, MD.
If it's order form, you're gonna keep. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're chipping in and out. You're morphing. You're Borging as well.
Yeah, man, I'll come back in when I can.
No, okay. 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 All right. So, anything else on here you wanted to cover, Ricardo?
I mean, based on what we're seeing, I mean, the things that he touted during his presidency, like the crude oil, we knew would have went up, and I'm surprised it's actually plus 27.6%. The trade deficit would have went up under him for the plus 40.5%. The
Right.
manufacturing price went down, but then considering the fact that we went through COVID and we were building, I'm not sure if we were building enough masks from 3M and all of them companies here. I'm surprised it's not a little bit higher based on what we knew from the COVID issues we went through, but I'm surprised it went down. It's negative 154%. Coal mining, as we already touched on, went down with price for because he brought up so much information during the campaign the second time around. The corporate profits were not surprised by. The food stamp recipients went down under him, which we're not surprised by because the Republican Party side with the Mitch McConnells and whatnot did, cut all of those expenses because, the other side. So everything that we've seen here is not really surprising to me. It's basically based on the rhetoric that he was going with. We see reflecting here in terms of the statistics.
Right.
But the way he was speaking, I would have thought home ownership would have went up a slight smidge higher. And that's the only thing other than the economic growth going down. That's the only thing that really stands out. The home prices went up under him, which is also surprising to me. But then we're not surprised because he was also in bed with some of these people that, that is a part or attributed to, his campaign. So not so surprising there, but the numbers don't lie. So it's kind of interesting to see the contrast between Obama and him, statistic wise. Again, yes, Obama did have a little bit more difficult time considering the bubble that he inherited, which was the housing market, the too big to fail companies, the auto collapse, compared to Trump with just COVID. Again, a lot of economic observers will say, well, what if the pandemic didn't happen? Would his statistics been or fared a little bit better? I don't know if it would have. Probably chances are it could have, but these stats don't lie. It's interesting to see them though now looking back. It's kind of surprising.
Yep. All right, so I'm gonna quickly go through the remaining of MD. He must have had to go out because of this connection. All right, so we're gonna quickly go through Obama, Trump. So I'm just gonna flash on the screen. These are some notable bills and accomplishments. That he's policies that he's done. The Reinvestment Act of 2009. He did the Wall Street Reform, like I mentioned earlier, the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act. He also did the Credit Card Act of 2009. He did some bills on taxation spending. He had to deal with the debt ceiling issue where they was threatening to shut the government down, which is a bunch of bullcrap. That's literally politicians saying we won't pay our bills and they're not going to pay their workers. That's crazy. That should never ever be a negotiating tactic. Healthcare and education. Again, the first president to pass healthcare reform. Was it the way we wanted it? Not 100%, but there's still things there that make it better for us today. Remember, like when when women got pregnant before Bill Clinton. And this was a Hillary Clinton initiative, she's the reason, he's the reason, she's the reason, both together, why women got 60% of their pay. And they were able to leave the job and have their job available to come back to. Because in the past, they would get no pay. And they may or may not have had a job because they missed all that time when they're having their kids, which is ridiculous. And I can't believe that that's an actual thing, especially when you
look at other countries that are giving
you get like many weeks, months, I should say, of leave.
It's 3 months in Canada, and Europe, I think it's about the same, if not 6 months.
Exactly. It's a different way of living altogether, and you just got to ask yourself in this country, what are we willing to accept and not accept? And sometimes you can get accustomed to being treated badly, and it could be the norm of what you go through if you don't question things, if you don't at least try or think things through to see what is the best way, what is the best course of action. Because everybody's saying that it's not, but everybody has a different reason on why.
I mean, you also have to take in consideration as well, Venkat, that the political party that he is under the helm of kind of contributed to some of the things that he weren't
Of course,
get done.
of course, of course. All political groups have a part, and let's better define what's going on here, right? So Trump isn't like, oh, I mean, not Trump, but Obama isn't like, oh my God, he's the good guy. Oh my God, he's not the good guy. He's not the bad guy, but he's specifically what he is: more center left. That's what he is, and his agenda is a lot different than even mine's. I am a progressive. I'm looking for more progressive bills. Is that going to come from Joe Biden? No, it's not. No, it's not.
You said it was. I mean, let's get one thing straight here. This is the same, Joe Biden that promised to get the student loan eliminated by a certain amount, and yet we still have not gotten anything done. I don't know if that's going to bode well for him in the upcoming election. You can't promise these people that are your voting bloc, that are the younger.
They gave him the most votes ever.
Pretty much. And now they're looking at it like, oh, you made a promise that you can't keep. I mean, these are politicians. It doesn't surprise me. They make lies all the time and they can't keep them. But this one, I think, might sting a little bit more. I just hope that whatever he's doing or whatever the contingency plan is in terms of the back flipping that he did for the student loans, I hope there's but I doubt it very much, if there's going to be a compromise. I can't see it at this point. I don't know how he's going to do it, but then how are you going to do your campaigning? Because now, if you know who runs his campaign, he could then pretty much say, see, you said so and so. You might have forgot. Your memory's going. You made a promise and you stuck to it. That you said, oh no, I'm going to get something done. And look, he could say he bailed out some of the colleges that were already failing student loans to cancel them. But what about those people that have those $100,000, $200,000 debt? I argue again, why do you have student loans that high? But the most you should have is probably 20 to probably 50,000, and even that's still high.
Right.
Cancel that? I don't know. I've yet to hear him say, I'm going to cancel probably $10,000 off, but that's a whole nother story. So
he never won. That's not what he wanted. He was literally forced into doing it from Elizabeth Warren and others, mainly in the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, pushing that on him. And then he reluctantly started saying it. It's not something he wanted to do in any stretch of the imagination. And there's Trump, when he got into office, I remember he was like, oh, we'll pass healthcare. You'll get anything you want. Then he tried to legislate and he realized, oh my God, this is difficult. He even said, who would have thought that passing healthcare was so difficult, right? This is the difference between, and that's the thing. Obama had to be in that moment more times, and there's a lot of losses and ups and downs and all arounds. That's politics. It's very messy. It's very dirty.
True, but then we wanted sternness from Obama, though. I think that's what it is, because most of the time, if I'm not mistaken, I think Biden was the one that went in.
Yes.
On Obama's behalf.
Yes.
The most difficult needed to be done. It was because Biden had so much connections.
Exactly.
It was sent him, and then he was like, okay, so Joe got it done for me, so I'm good. So that was what we were looking for him to be a little bit more stern, more forceful when it came to Mitch McConnell saying, oh, I'm going to make you a one-term president if I can, and I'm going to steamboat or
he said he's going to block everything in his agenda.
Go through, and I'm like, you can't be nice to people that are telling you ahead of time what they're planning to do. Oh no,
I agree. I agree with that. That part of it, I don't disagree. But I'm keep it in context, the reality of what it is.
Mm.
All right, so let's take a quick look here at Trump. All right, so he he mostly what he did was he passed executive bills. Executive orders is what it was, meaning that I am not capable of negotiating, of persuading or doing any campaigning amongst the Senate and the Congress so that I can get my initiative going. So I'm going to go sit behind the desk where I'm much comfortable and not have to do much heavy lifting and just write these bills and say I did it. That's the extent of what Trump does. So the tax cut is the singular piece of legislation here. That's it, the singular. Again, when you go back to Obama, he had to do the bailout. That was one. Then he did the stimulus, and then he did the healthcare in the first year and a half. So that's just the difference between the two politicians per se. His foreign policy problematic as well. I don't like what happened with the farmers and how farmers were screwed over because of his little riff with China. And for some reason, we just let that go under the radar. A lot of things are going under the radar. Immigration, about building a wall, that was never fully built. That was never fully built and not accomplished. But he said, promises kept, promises whatever.
Yeah, but the question was.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the question was who was going to build the wall, because Mexico sure as hell was not going to be building it. We knew that from the jump. Not going to do it.
Yeah.
Don't have
it. And I don't know if you ever seen the video of the Mexican president going crazy about that. We are not going to do it. We're not building anything.
So off rip, we knew that wasn't. So I was trying to, and then everybody else was like, so I guess he's going to be taking his own funds and money to build a wall. Again,
that'll never happen. He never spending his own money.
Like I was explaining to Maria G last week, because I wish she was here. The way the world is set up now, it sounds good on paper to say you want to stop people from coming into this country. It's not going to happen. You're going to consistently people coming in here. This is a country of close to 400 million people. Population-wise, and it is the richest industrial country in the world as we speak. I mean,
California alone is the 5th largest economy in the world.
Correct.
California alone by itself.
So it's enough to tell you. I mean, the only other country that will rival us, really and truly in terms of GDP, will probably be Russia, because they have more oil and they're the largest country in terms of the space that they occupy in terms of footprint wise. But
over China,
pretty much, yeah. Russia is humongous in terms of the size, the landmass that they have. We can't really say Africa is a continent. It's not really a country, but Russia as a country as a whole, yes, landmass wise, they have more a surplus of oil that they've yet to even touch. If they were to even go to the Arctic Circle right now, they would probably have a huge deposit of oil. But that's a whole other argument in itself, because then you're going to go towards the Northwest Passage, which is under Canadian jurisdiction, and that's a whole other thing to argue. But yeah, like in terms of what we're seeing on all of that, I think going back to what we were seeing about Trump and the things that he was saying, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, because we know Trump says a lot. He's a very bombastic type of person. The issue I have is that he always spoke like, oh, I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm the greatest president in the world. I'm this. It's like, dude, we get it. Like you're trying to inflate what you're saying. I give him certain credits, and one of the credits I'm going to give him now, because I probably will never say it again, is that he pushed for NATO to try to, if you want to be a part of this great alliance of, we're going to do the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, we're going to stop threats and whatnot, everybody needs to contribute. This is something that it's either you do 2% of your GDP or something along that lines. He mentioned to them, and they were like, yeah, we're going to do it, because what end up happening and always end up happening is that the United States end up funding things for them, and they're, we're the ones that's flipping the bill. Now that's come back to bite Europe in the ass, because we're now seeing what's going on with Ukraine. There's not enough funds to fund the ammunition that they would need to do all of that stuff. So when Trump brought it up a couple of years ago, he was like, listen, y'all need to start contributing your funds towards helping the bills that needs to be paid here. And everybody was like, yeah, in a way that they were like trying to like say, you got this, America, you guys are always the ones that do it. And he's like, nah. I thought that he could have pushed a little bit more harder, because then we probably could have gotten like 5% or 10% out of them, but he said 2%, and now look where we're at. So I give him credit where it's due, and I think that was probably one of the best things that he did when he had that conversation with them. And the other one was that he pushed for the NAFTA bill to be switched over to, I guess, which means the United States, Mexico, and Canada Act, where everything ties back into the farmers, the subsidies that go into it, because there was like huge percentage of bills that need to be footed for like the farmers and the milks and the auto industry. They're all tied in terms of Mexico. I think Mexico now has workers that work $16 an hour, which never was the case before the USMCA Act was pushed in. So I guess they could thank Donald Trump for that. So there's certain things, again, I will give him credit where it's due. Other than that, you did use a Sharpie to circle that a hurricane's projection. And I
forgot about that one.
And did say that, why don't we use nuclear weapons to blow up a hurricane? I didn't.
Right.
That makes sense. And you said lines of why we can't to get rid of COVID. There's certain things that he said that just didn't make any sense to me. And I'm like, people ate all of that up, and then they want to sit there and then blame him. No, you're an idiot for doing what he told you to do. Just like you're a moron for sending him funds when he's a billionaire. I would never, that makes no sense. But
right. Good point there. So let's move forward now. We'll wrap this up. So we're just going to look at some final things. So they get like scholars together, and these scholars, they vote on presidents. So I think it's every 4 years or 5 years, they compile a list and they rank all the presidents. So here's the historian survey results. So number one, Abraham Lincoln. Most times, pretty much in recent, from 2000 up, he's been number one. You go down, you see Ronald Reagan's on the list. He's number 9 in 2021. Barack Obama is number 10. All right, so we don't see Trump. Let's I have okay, so this is a list. It's hard to see here, so let's go fine tune into it. Let's go 1 through 11. All right, Abraham Lincoln. Okay, LBJ. All right, let's go down more. 12 to 25. Let's see, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Bill Clinton at number 19, Ulysses S. Grant. I had to do a book report on him in school. George H.W. Bush at 21. All right, so he's not here. Let's keep going. All right, so we're going now. We're going at up to number 39. Let's see, George W. is number 29, which is amazing. I can't believe that one. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's keep going now. We're going to keep going now. All right, so, okay, there we go. There go our guy right there. So 41 out of 44. And those colors represent different things. Blue is public persuasion, crisis leadership. You got economic management. They have different points that are strengths and weaknesses, and they all vote on it, and then they come up with the numbers, and that's how it is. So it's crazy. And by the way, one of those guys towards the bottom, the only reason he's down is because he died. He died like a month into his presidency. So that's the kind of company that Donald Trump is barely beating. Just want to point that out, folks. Criminal activities. Let's go to that one. Okay. Let's take a look here. So Donald Trump, all right, we got guilty pleas, 8 of them. All right.
Damn.
Criminal indictments. Well, this needs to be updated because it's much higher than that now. So Obama, guilty pleas 0. He years in office 8. Okay, 0 across the board. Bush, even W with his war crimes. Criminal indictments, he had 16 in there in his administration. Bush Sr., Reagan had the Contra issue. That's why he has so much. Of course, Nixon was the most notorious, but I think this guy is going to beat Nixon here. Criminal indictments. All right, so we're keeping it rolling here. Oh God, Jimmy Carter with 1. It says Jimmy Carter 1, 0 Barack Obama, Gerald Ford. Reagan had 20. Again, he did the Iran Contra. George W. 16. That's surprising. Thought it would be higher. All right, so just wanted to get through that because we know what we're dealing with here. So, I don't like to do a versus unless I actually declare a winner. I don't think it's a far stretch to be this kind of ridiculous to compare the two. I understand one guy has only 4 years and the other one has 8. But beyond that, when you're talking about measuring him versus him, not anybody else, not an ideal world about what we would like or what we wouldn't like, and blah blah blah. I'm talking about this dumbass versus this dumbass. This particular dumbass was way worse than the other one. So Barack Obama, without even question.
Yeah, because
what are your view? What are your point of what did you want to say on that?
If we're gonna go by statistics, because again, Trump is at a disadvantage because he didn't do a complete full 8 years in terms of term. But if we're gonna go by the stats that what we see, I think Obama does take the cake here. Now, does he have some caveats that we have we've brought up? Sure. There's a ton of them. With that being stated, though, could have done better in this term, but like what Mike has brought up earlier, he didn't really force his hands too much because he didn't want to rock the boat or didn't want to show the angry black man side or point of view like he had always brought up over and over again. But yes, if we're gonna go by stats, we're gonna say that Obama, for the 8-year tenure that he's done, statistic wise, would beat Trump in the verses, just because Trump didn't really do a full 8-year term. He did 4 years. So I'm gonna give the accolade to Obama just for that reason. But in terms of everything else, nah. Can't give it to him.
All right. So we're going to go into the next segment here. I want to get into just a little discussion about, I don't know everything about Israel right now, what's going on, but it's not just Israel. We had 2,000 people, more than 2,000 people were killed in Afghanistan here. This actually happened the same day or a day later from the Israel issue that we have going on. But we got more than 2,000 people were killed in Afghanistan from an earthquake. That seems to be forgotten in about like a half a day. And we're looking here at Israel, the death total, like we said, they got the Gaza, Israel deaths so far tops 1,300. That's at the time of this post. I'm sure it's a little bit more as they discover more bodies. I saw some video footage. There was some very graphic blood on sidewalks, on the street, bodies all over. There's just a lot of carnage, destruction, and chaos right now. I don't know. It seems like if you think about 2000 and then you go into 2001, 9/11, you look at the financial collapse of 2008, you look at COVID, you look at all these things that are happening, plus a whole list of hurricanes, earthquakes, all these different catastrophes. It's just been like we going from one extreme event to the next.
Absolutely.
And then we watch TV to try to get our minds off of it, and we ignore it. And then some of us were being numb to it, and then we just don't care. We move along. So, what are your viewpoints that you have going on with what's going on in Israel and any other notions?
I just think the timing is just a little bit suspicious for me. I just don't know why, and I'm sure Putin is somewhere, with his hands clasped and probably doing a grin or two, but it's just devastating to watch. This whole area in itself is always, if you historically look back in history, is always what I call up the powder keg area. It's just, if just to give you guys a summarization of what it is, in 1945 they created the state because Palestine was, I guess, an occupied land. It wasn't an occupied land; it was already there to begin with, and I guess after World War II, the states or the powers to be decided to give, the Jewish state, or create a Jewish state out of an area where we're now seeing the conflict arise from. You have the West Bank and you have the Gaza Strip. Palestine, if you looked at it back then, was pretty much the whole entire area that's occupied now, and they gave it as a compromise because they went through a war. Decided they were going to just split apart one side to give to Palestine, and the other side just on the coastline, which would be the Gaza Strip, and then you have the other the inland, which is the remaining parts of Palestine. So it's been a powder keg ever since. The way I look at it is it's sad all around. I'm not going to take sides on this because it's really tough, and I think that's where a lot of people are going to have a hard time with this. One, we know how it started. It's a continuous thing that's going to continuously happen until the U.S. doesn't negotiate with terrorist groups, as we know, and you guys will have to do your research. There's Hamas, and then there's Hezbollah, which is Lebanon, and you have Hamas, which is Palestine. So there's a whole bunch of conflict that goes along with it. If you do your research, there's a ton of information online. You guys will see how this came about. It's sad all around. I just hope it's not the two sides blaming each other on nonsense, because now is not the time for that. My biggest fear right now is a recession, and it looks like it's going to happen. I didn't think it was going to, but the way we're looking at with all the expenditures that we're doing from this country going forward, it's not looking good. And 2024 looks like it's going to be a tough political year. I wouldn't say tough political year, but a tough year economic-wise for the citizens of this country. I just hope we're smart enough to choose wisely what we're going to be doing going forward, and not use rhetoric as a backbone to say we're going to blame one another for it. Now is not the time for that. We're being distracted by nonsense. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Well said. Well said. Okay. So at this,
MD said he's trying to come back up, so I'm hoping.
I don't see him though. I don't see him. I saw he said that, but I don't see him actively making a connection in. So we'll be here. We'll be here. All right. So yeah, this whole issue that's going on, I don't have a lot of context. I just know that it's been going on for a long time. It's pretty much about land, right? I mean, I don't know. This is something I want to show here. I find this interesting. I found this graphic here. The death toll over the years here. So take a look at this. So the human cost of the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the Palestinian side,
there are more deaths.
There's a hell of a lot of deaths there, man.
And the reason why you're seeing that is because it's the media propaganda that you're seeing. It's always going to go skewed towards the Israeli state.
Israel.
And I think over the years my stance have changed a lot, and that's why you see me being very neutral in this, because I have good amount of friends growing up when I grew up in Canada from both countries, and it's tough because the only way that you could alleviate the issues that you're seeing is if you allow Palestine to be a state, and it's like Israel is putting their foot down heavy by occupying the Gaza Strip, as well as um, the other portion of the West Bank is the other portion of the state that they took over. So they basically went. There's a whole bunch in it. You literally, Venkat, if you have the time, you'd have to go back historically and look at how this came to be. But this started from 1945.
Yeah.
Been there ever since. It's been an issue that's going to be continuous until we get the compromise. And I think MD said it in the chat. That's the only way you'll be able to get the compromise is if you give Palestine a state, and it's just not going to happen. I don't see it happening in our lifetime, but then again, we've seen stranger things happen. But it's sad all around. And again, to point, go back to what we're saying here with the chart. It's always going to be skewed because of the propaganda. It's just like I'm hearing a whole bunch of reports that don't make sense. Show me proof of what you're seeing, of these heinous things that you said are going on, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to jump on board. Until then, I can't go by words based on what the media is telling me.
It look like one side is doing a hell of a lot of killing here.
You're seeing it here reflected in the chart, what you're showing. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff to make everybody get wild up, but you're not showing me proof of what you're saying. It's one thing to say that these heinous things are happening, but you're not showing me proof, which again is a propaganda smear. So call me wrong if I'm wrong. We hold people accountable when we say, listen, we did it for Trump, we did it for everybody else. I want to say the same thing for these countries, because you're taking my taxpaying money that I pay every year for taxes to help you fund whatever you claim is what's going on now, and it's not really fair, because that money should be, I again argue the point, should be put back into this country to help our infrastructure, to help our people that are suffering for the economic issues that we're going through right now. But we're sending it overseas to help, these countries like Ukraine, and now it's going to be Israel, and God, he knows who else.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that something? I mean, we had like this big fight back and forth in the Congress and the Senate about like what money was going to be sent for what during a time of COVID recovery, and now we went into inflation and all these hardships that we're getting in this country, and they're like, no, you can't do this. Joe Manchin is cutting this and saying you can't do this and whatnot. And all that happened. And then Republicans within the same day, cut them a check. And I mean, it's not, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, just Republican, because it's a Democratic side as well, too.
Both sides, yeah.
But it's just jarring to me that we had this long, drawn-out political fight for months to allocate funds for the country, and this happens. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, not to cut you off, my biggest fear now is that it's this issue with Israel is now going to give the Republican side, it's going to be, I wouldn't say partisan, but it's going to be an issue, because the Democrats had the Ukraine allocation funds issue. Now we're going to have the Republican sides touting for the Israeli side. So it's going to be, it's one of them things where, again, this was my fear. I was like, please, dear God, let this country just go through one thing at a time, and let's just get through 2023. No, lo and behold. So it's going to trigger a recession. I just don't know how or when it's going to happen, but I see it happening very, very soon. Because
we got MD back on the panel.
Let's go, MD.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I know you ain't gonna talk on this long. This my type of talk though. I'm telling y'all right now, this situation in Israel is this generation's 9/11. To not as far as impact and casualty. I'm not looking at it that way.
Right.
I'm looking at it from the aspect of other conflicts being able to pop up as a result.
I hear you. I know what you mean.
Remember after 9/11, we had a lot of stuff that took place in terms of extremism, right?
Yep.
We had the whole the anthrax thing going on, and damn, I can't see shit. My bad. The anthrax thing going on, and then we had the Paris terrorist attack.
Right.
We had the London subway bombing and all of that.
Yeah.
Right.
What this is going to spark is going to spark extremism, not necessarily Islam's extremism, but it's going to spark, and this is going to be a forever war. It's going to be extremism versus a subjugated people in the Palestinians versus an organized government in Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I put in the chat. I'm pro-Palestine. That's just what it is. I'm pro-Palestine because I'm pro-freedom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those people deserve their autonomy in their own state. Period.
And right, they didn't invade their own country. They were there the whole time. So
right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to go on forever. Long after we dead, our children gonna see it, and their children, until a two-state system is implemented over there in the Middle East. Period.
I don't
It's not gonna happen.
I don't understand why it's so difficult. I don't. That may come from a place of ignorance. That may come from, I'm just not in that culture. I haven't followed it. I don't know, but it seems I just have a mindset that certain things should be or could be done, or at least attempted upon in a reasonable way. Maybe you don't get everything you need or wanted, but you get something. I mean, that's a lot of deaths, man.
You gotta understand that, Cat. We live in a real life game of risk at the end of the day. You got to have buffers in place of your enemies. You know what I'm saying? Israel is a buffer state. It's a paper tiger at the end of the day. It's a buffer state. It's there to blow its chest out in the hopes of suppressing the rest of the Asian Minor and the Central Arab states. That's what it's there for. And the odd man left out is the Palestinian people. Even to the point they're subjugated, even to the point where when we dealing, and I talked about this earlier, dealing with the Abraham Accords, they had other Arab countries sign on to the Abraham Accords so it wouldn't be any smoke. So essentially, you talk about the Palestinians like Shadi Yanga. Yanga said it best. The Palestinians are the black people of the Arab world, and they therefore
when you put it like that. When you put it like that, oh my goodness!
But it's systematic though. It could have been anybody. It just happened to be them. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just happened to be them. This is a forever war that's going to take place until a two-state system comes into play. And again, to your point, Ricardo, I want to say this because this is important.
Mm-hmm.
You said it's going to be the Republicans were fighting over the Ukraine funding. Now it's going to be I don't know. Israel is bipartisan all day long. True. So you ain't going to get that argument. What's going to happen is, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead. I think I know where you're going to go.
What's going to happen is, and like I said, this is me being speculative. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen is Ukraine going to fall by the wayside if this conflict ensues and deepens.
But don't you?
And that's,
But MD, don't you find the timing suspicious though? If we're thinking along the lines of what I'm thinking is how it planned out, because I just find it strange that all of a sudden this just came out of nowhere, left field. Like I just find the timing so odd and off. The timing is really off to me. But then again,
well, I mean, it coincides with a lot of different issues. You know, right. You go back to the funding that Biden released. Now, I've heard several reports saying that Biden released the funding, but Iran don't have access to it yet. The sanction money and all this and that. The fact of the matter is, now this is me speculating again. The fact of the matter is, Hamas, which is a Sunni organization, ain't got that type of funding to come out the sky with paragliders and shoot 100,000. They don't got the money like that.
It really don't.
Obviously, somebody funded it. I believe it was Iran.
And there we go. So that again, and who is closest to Iran at this point would be Russia, right? So I find it very odd. I just the timing is really odd. For most people who don't understand, again, you have to read up your history. Why is Iran so popular? The jewels that Iran has, remember Iran used to be Persia back in the day. So it has if you were to accumulate all the jewels in the world, it comes Iran's jewel collection is so massive that if they really wanted to like fund anything they wanted to fund, they could use the jewels that it has in its vault right now because of the Persian jewels. So you got, again, that's what I was telling you.
And it's an oil superpower.
And there you go. So there's a whole bunch to it that even though you're putting sanctions on them, really doesn't do that much to them. They are that powerful when it comes. So it's there's a lot, but I just find the timing so off. And that was my fear. What happens if, God forbid, something, and lo and behold, I should never have thought it. Lo and behold, now we have this because now it's going to trigger the economies of the rest of the world to now collapse. Because I wouldn't say collapse in a bad way, but it's going to bring on a recession for us that we really don't need right now because we're putting so much money investing in other areas that we really need to put back into this country. So it's going to be a political hot debate issue, I bet you, for next year going into the election, because
100%.
Yeah, there's no way this is gonna slide by. And again, that's my fear in MD is what if Ukraine falls to the side? And I don't think this country can afford to allow Ukraine to fall to the side with all the investment they've done. Neither can Europe and the rest of the world. So we'll see how that works out.
Well, it's funny you say that because I predicted this last year.
You predicted this?
No, not the Israel situation. I'm talking about Ukraine.
Ukraine. Yeah.
If another situation happens in terms of direct effect or indirect effect of the United States, Ukraine will be put on a placeholder. If Ukraine get put on a placeholder, that's gonna make Zelensky do something that we don't want him to do. Like I've been saying for the past year now. Zelensky is not the person, and I won't necessarily put it on Zelensky. I put it on just Ukrainian ideology, period. But I'll say for lack of a better term, Zelensky is not the person that you think he is. When I look at a person like Zelensky, I'm looking at a person that wants to put himself in a position to be a buffer for the United States because it's a very lucrative position, right? Ukraine was the prime country to be a buffer from the Russian-Chinese alliance. Let's just say that. How much of a priority is it compared to the buffer of Israel, the paper tiger of Israel? I would say not that much. So what you're going to have a position where the ideologies that people already suspect within Russia that a lot of Republicans tout, i.e. the Azovs and neo-Nazis and stuff like that, will begin to rear its ugly head in a show of just not caring because it don't have nothing else to lose at that point based off its position with the situation in Russia. And that's going to create deja vu all over again with a dictatorship in Ukraine. That's what I predict.
Don't say it, MD. Don't say it.
I'm just being real. I'm looking at history and seeing the same stuff happen. Because history said it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
History say it.
Well, that'll be interesting to see if that happens. I hope it don't happen.
And one more thing before you go move on.
Yeah.
If Iran gets involved in this conflict,
you
thought your gas prices was high in 2021 or whatever year that was. Let Iran get involved with this and see how much we're paying at the pump after that.
Don't say it.
Hey, this is real stuff that you got to really look at. I mean, stuff that's real is not warm and cuddly all the time. Goodness.
Well, one more thing. Because like I said, I love this topic. One more thing.
Yeah.
If there's a full-blown conflict, a regional conflict in Israel and in the Middle East, you can't take your eyes off of China and Taiwan, because the distraction is going to be there for China to make a play.
But then here's the thing, though. I think that a lot of people keep saying, "Oh no," because of we're so tied up with Taiwan. I think China will use whatever is they've invaded every other space that they can in the Pacific, and I've always said the pushback needed to be there. They're gonna say provocation. They're gonna say everything else. They cannot. If they try to invade Taiwan, it's imminent war with us, because we've signed so many agreements that state in the immediate future, if anything happens to Taiwan, we have to intervene. There's no ifs or buts about it. It creates a conflict. It creates another war. So I don't know, but yes, MD, we're not going to say it out loud because we're going to knock on wood here. Let's hope that's not the case. But you and I think along the same lines when it comes to that kind of thing, and it's very surprising, but let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope not.
Yeah, it's going to be the great microchip war. Hell, remember a couple years ago, we was tripping on Taiwan as far as the resources that they needed to make chips for damn PlayStations and Xboxes.
Yep,
What you think gonna happen if it's a war going? You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna have nothing.
And that's what I said. This country cannot afford to have that happen because we're so tied in industrial wise to Taiwan, other than South Korea. So I don't know if America can really allow that to happen. And China knows that. They will always. This is why you kept seeing Trump always using the China issue. And from what I've read, because I was watching 60 Minutes on Sunday, diplomacy is so bad with China right now. We don't even have any form of communication with them. We usually will speak to them every other week. Now that's cut off. They don't even talk to us like that anymore. So from the military standpoint, this is not a good thing. There's no open discussions at all with them. So we don't know what they're doing, other than we're still doing reconnaissance from space where we could see the satellite imagery and whatnot. But they're doing a lot of stuff where they're gonna start doing what's the word where they go in and they start turning off things, and they start doing a whole bunch of stuff, shutting off.
Are you talking about cyber attacks?
Cyber attacks. That's where they're gonna start into, and you're already seeing it in action. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on that we're not really privy to, but we know it's there and it's happening. So that's my fear. And yes, MD, let's not think it out loud.
Yeah, so we see here Trevor the Troll. He's been trolling all show. You know, these Bible thumpers love trolling, man. I need to play a video I didn't play earlier. I'm going to play it now for the troll.
Donald Trump, of course, is advocating for imposing the death penalty on convicted drug dealers, but it appears he's not clear on exactly what that means.
I focused on nonviolent crime. As an example, a woman who you know very well was in jail. She had 24 more years to serve. She served for 22 years. She had
Alice Johnson.
Alice.
She was in the Super Bowl.
High quality. Oh, yeah. I said, how many years? And she was on a telephone call, and they were involved in selling marijuana, mostly marijuana. And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
Huh?
As a drug dealer.
No. Under that, it would depend on the severity. It would depend on the severity.
She's technically a former drug dealer. She had multi-million-dollar cocaine ring.
Any drug dealer. Look.
So even Alice Johnson in that ad.
She can't do it, okay? By the way, if that was there, no, she wouldn't be killed. It would start as of now, so you wouldn't go to the past.
I know, but your policy.
No, starting now, yeah. But she wouldn't have done it if it was death penalty. In other words, if it was death penalty, she wouldn't have been on that phone call. She wouldn't have been a dealer.
I got to think in the Brett Baer.
Oh, my God.
But your policy, Hey, man, there's just something about that. I mean, if you don't get it, you don't want to get it. All right. So anything else left on the table that we wanted to talk about with the Palestinian-Israel thing?
No. I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right.
Just keep an eye out on it. That's all I say. Keep an eye out on it.
All right. So we're gonna go into I'm going to skip to lame duck. I may come back to political news afterwards, but we're going to go into the lame duck session. We got 2 birds, 1 stone. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. With great power comes great responsibility.
New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez and his wife indicted by a federal grand jury. The senator is accused of using his office to help several businessmen from New Jersey, as well as the Egyptian government, in exchange for receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in gifts, including cash, a luxury vehicle, even gold bars. The Department of Justice is expected to hold a news conference about this at 11 a.m. Eastern. Let's bring in NBC's Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian and former federal prosecutor Ankush Khadori. So, Ken, what more are we learning about these charges?
Good morning, Anna. This is a shocking series of corruption charges against the powerful chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and his wife, accusing them of a bribery conspiracy. And it's really complicated here. It's multi-pronged. It accuses the senator of accepting cash and gifts, including, as you mentioned, gold bars, a luxury Mercedes-Benz vehicle, in exchange, and they call it bribery, for taking official action to benefit the people that were paying the money in 3 separate arrangements. There was an Egyptian figure who had a halal meat business that got an exclusive deal to provide halal meat to the government of Egypt, even as Senator Menendez had significant influence over foreign U.S. military sales and military aid to Egypt. And the indictment details a series of allegations where they say Senator Menendez exerted that influence and pressured Egyptian officials even as he was helping this company. And then separately, it says that the senator intervened in 2 separate criminal matters involving his associates, trying to stop, essentially, the criminal investigations into those people in exchange for financial compensation in the form of bribes. And what's so shocking about this, Anna, is it's coming just 6 years after Senator Menendez narrowly escaped conviction in a separate and unrelated corruption case. There was a hung jury. The Justice Department decided not to retry him, and he was admonished by the Senate Ethics Committee for taking gifts and luxury items from a friend of his in exchange for official action. Again, not convicted in that case, now facing these very serious criminal charges on him.
All right, there we go. There he is. Lame duck number 6. Week number 6. Robert Menendez. This is the Democratic senator from the state of New Jersey, and he's doing what they're all doing, underhanded, shady stuff. What do we think here, Ricardo? Views on this story?
Calling me surprised, but if you walk like a duck, talk like a duck, it is a duck. He needs to step aside. I mean, you're doing anything that's nefarious. Anything that you're doing that's unscrupulous, you need to go. And I think his main party constituents want him to leave because I think his wife is also involved in a whole bunch of chicanery stuff. So, I mean, it's time for you to go. If you know you're ethically speaking, you were doing things that were not things that you needed to be doing, you need to step aside gracefully and let somebody step in and do the job.
Okay. So what about MD? What are we viewpoints on Robert Menendez?
Yeah, lock his ass up, throw away the key, man. This is what I say. And you know, it's far fetched, but there has been talk about this. So, you know, when we talk about anything that's got anything to do with legislative government in the United States, dealing with a foreign entity, right? Anything, I don't care what it's about. Like this situation with the halal meat. If you're making backdoor deals with any foreign government, despite what it's about, at the end of the day, no matter how far-fetched or how far from the actual situation it can be, it can become an issue of national security. On that aspect, you got to go.
Yep.
Point blank, period.
I agree.
But MD, wouldn't that be the same case for Donald Trump?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it'll be the same thing for Joe Biden, allegedly too.
We're holding everybody.
Right, allegedly. Right.
Yeah.
We're holding everybody accountable.
Yep. And
any backdoor deal, no matter how small, dealing with a foreign entity, is a threat to national security. Point blank.
I never heard
like that.
I ain't never heard of these guys getting gold bars. I mean, this is like some Batman villain type stuff. Wow.
There it is.
Oh Lord, yeah, this guy's straight trash, and he needs to go. And the funny thing is, this is not the first time. It's less than 10 years. He was dealing with the same exact charge. So this is bold to the fullest. Wow, he's got to go. All right, so that's our first lame duck. That was for last week, October 3rd. So we're going to go into the current week's lame duck. This lame duck session brought to you by good old Matt Gaetz.
Last week's violent attack on the Capitol was undemocratic, un-American, and criminal. Violence is never a legitimate form of protest. The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term.
2 weeks ago, Republicans were condemning Donald Trump after the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. Now, some already appear to be softening their stance, rolling it back. The latest example, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. He met with the former president at his Florida resort yesterday. It's a turnaround for McCarthy, who is backing off his previous statement that Trump, quote, bared responsibility for the siege. United and ready to win in 22, McCarthy tweeted after the meeting. Both he and Trump issued statements outlining their pledge to work together to help Republicans win back control of the House and Senate in 2022.
All right, joining me now, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who has voted 11 times for candidates other than McCarthy.
It is not the end of the world that we take a few extra days or maybe even a couple weeks to sort this out. I mean, Laura, you know this. There are some days in Congress where the only thing we vote on is the changing of the name of one post office. Now we're deciding who's second in line to the presidency, and the construct of these rules concessions functionally turn the speakership into a ceremonial position. Matter of fact, if my colleagues get what they want from McCarthy, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus will actually be more important than the Speaker of the House in determining the legislation that reaches the floor, how amendments are processed, and how spending occurs going forward.
Yeah, you did get a number of concessions that I'm not sure if I were on the other side I would have given you, but a number of concessions from McCarthy, an attempt to get, to 218. So he lowered the threshold of the votes required to begin the process of removing himself as speaker. Just one person, one member of the conference can do it now. What else do you require that he do or agree to before Matt Gaetz will say, okay, I'm on board?
I wouldn't be betting on my vote for Kevin McCarthy under almost any circumstance. But it's important to note that all of those bullet points you just presented.
Wait, hold on. Wait, that's personal then. You just made this very principled point. No. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, I'm a man of principle and I believe in X, Y, and Z, but if he gives me X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to vote for him. What?
Well,
How does that make sense?
Therefore, the Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives.
That was easy, huh? I never thought we'd get up here.
Joining us now is Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, who has been Speaker Kevin McCarthy's chief antagonist in all of this. So I want to start right with what you've been saying all along, that you would move to oust him as Speaker, and what McCarthy said just yesterday. Take a listen.
That's all right if Republicans and Democrats join together to do what is right. If somebody wants to make a motion against me, bring it. There has to be an adult in the room.
So are you going to do it? Are you going to move to oust him?
Kevin McCarthy's going to get his wish. I don't think the adult in the room would allow America to sit atop a $33 trillion debt facing $2.2 trillion annual deficit. In January, to get the speakership, Kevin had to agree to certain guardrails on spending, and he had to agree to a process that would allow us to put some downward pressure on spending. We want to move to single subject spending bills. So he made that commitment, he broke it, and if at this time, next week, Kevin McCarthy is still Speaker of the House, it will be because the Democrats bailed him out, and he can be their Speaker, not mine.
So when do you make this move?
You'll be seeing it this week.
This week, okay.
That's why I came on the show this week.
On this vote, the yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
And just like that, last night, Congressman Kevin McCarthy ousted as House Speaker. That's the first time in history a Speaker has been removed through a no-confidence vote. First time ever. The final tally, 216 to 210, with 8 Republicans, you see them there, breaking from their party to oust McCarthy after a far-right Republican congressman introduced the motion to remove McCarthy on Monday. After his ouster, the now former Speaker spoke to reporters about his removal.
I don't regret standing up for choosing governance over grievance. It is my responsibility. It is my job. I do not regret negotiating. Our government is designed to find compromise. I may have lost a vote today, but as I walk out of this chamber, I feel fortunate to have served the American people. I leave the speakership with a sense of pride, accomplishment, and yes, optimism. I fought for what I believe in, and I believe in this country of America. My goals have not changed. I believe I can continue to fight, maybe in a different manner. I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else.
All right. So there we go. Week number 7, October 10th, this week. Kevin McCarthy is our lame duck. What's our viewpoint, Ricardo?
So, well, what can I say? I mean, his spineless, like I've been saying, his spineless, but needed to be given a reality check. I think he's done so many deals that he signed himself over to the Devils and couldn't pull himself out of this bad downhill spiral that he went into, and as a result, he's now kicked out of the one coveted position that he was fighting, that he fought so hard for, making so many deals to get into, and then got kicked out. And as it stands, even though it looks great to see him out of power. We still need a Speaker of the House, because the third most powerful position in this country is the Speaker of the House. We need a Speaker of the House, and we need one immediately, effective immediately. Other than the President, the Vice President, the Speaker of the House is the one person that has to do their due diligence. So I reckon that I say this to everyone that's involved in this: please get somebody voted in that's smart, that will do their due diligence, that knows what they're doing, and let's get to work, because there's too much distractions. Don't forget, we still have a looming government shutdown that's within the next 39 days, I think, now that we're counting. So it's going to lead us into Thanksgiving. Again, my fear of a recession is just coming into play here, because if they shut down during the week of Thanksgiving, it's not going to be well. So again, I'm not the least bit surprised, but when your spineless butt doesn't do your job correctly and you make so many deals with the devils, this is what you get. So bon voyage, McCarthy. See you whenever or whatever.
All right. MD, what is your viewpoint on Kevin McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fiasco ever since he got nominated. You know what I'm saying, and got voted in. Like, when we talk about the whole Matt Gaetz, Matt Gaetz had it in for him the whole time. So, it's apropos that Matt Gaetz was the one leading the charge to get him out. So wishy-washy in terms of how we dealt with a lot of the things that Trump was getting himself into, right?
Very.
The whole issue that was the nail in the coffin for him was the appropriation of the Ukraine money within the defense budget that the Democrats were trying to get in, as far as not being able to not having the shutdown. Remember, it almost seemed like the Republicans was in unison with go ahead and shutting the government down, so as though they wouldn't have the money put in the defense budget. And before everything happened, everybody was cool with that. Then all of a sudden, at the 11th hour, here come McCarthy with a compromise, with something about being able to have talks about putting it in the defense budget and the whole 45-day stay, and the Republicans went livid. And like I said, it was a nail in the coffin, got him up out of there. So it's no shock to anybody. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing: you got to have a speaker, especially now more than ever, because the House and the Senate is gonna convene about getting aid to Israel. Now, Biden's supposed to be doing the whole emergency fund act, or I forget what it's called, some type of emergency funding that's already being sent to Israel. But what about after that? You got to have a speaker in the House,
correct,
in order to get that done from a legislative aspect. So it's going to be sooner than later, and it may be something that on down the line everybody may not agree with, but it's going to get done sooner rather than later.
So there was video of reporters asking Democrats why not help? Are you going to help McCarthy? Make sure he doesn't get thrown out. Well, the problem with that was one day he passed the bill. The next day on the Sunday shows, he's on TV bashing Democrats for the bill that he helped pass. So all the Democrats said, well, we can't trust this guy. He's too two-faced. He's too wishy-washy, and he's just all over the place. So we don't know where we stand with him. So no Democrat helped in the vote. And it's crazy. I mean, you got MAGA Republicans voting with Democrats to get rid of McCarthy. They didn't vote for him, really. So the whole thing is just a weird. And all this is happening at the worst time ever.
Correct. That's why I said we to the House, effective immediately.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you get with the Republicans, man. This is what you're getting. I'm just saying. It just, oh Lord. Anyway.
Hey, but check this out though, Venkat.
Yeah.
When this all went down, and they found out about what McCarthy had did, all these, especially MAGA, all of them was in an uproar, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene standing on the steps of the Capitol, trying to sack it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then when the vote comes down,
yeah,
to out him as speaker, she vote. Well, no, I don't think we should take him out. What do you mean? You talked all that stuff?
Yep.
Right. I think she voted present, like, which is a spineless move of all spineless moves.
So, I mean,
Well, I'm here. That's about it. Wow. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that part too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's political theater, man. It's politics. It's a bunch of what can I do to get over on this person. It's just a lot of nonsense. A lot of this stuff, there's no real merit behind it. It's a game. They're playing chess, and sometimes they take it to a real awkward extreme. And it can be frustrating at times, but sometimes this theater gets caught up in real moments when you actually have to, oh my God, lead. And there are a lot of people engaging in theater rather than leadership. All right, so I'll have to cut a segment out. I'll have to redo that on another week. But I do want to get into in the news portion, and then we'll pretty much end with that one, maybe a short other clip, and then that's it. But let's go into what's going on in political news.
In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law.
I'm an innocent man. I did nothing wrong. And we will fight this out just like we've been fighting.
We got major breaking news, a major loss in court for Donald Trump in the civil suit brought by the New York Attorney General Tish James. A New York state judge has just ruled that Donald Trump committed fraud by exaggerating the value of his assets in financial statements.
We also have some breaking news just coming in from Capitol Hill. Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida has formally filed a motion to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy. This would set up a dramatic vote in the chamber as Congress has just 6 weeks to avoid a shutdown again.
It's full steam ahead on multiple fronts in the case against the twice impeached, 4 times indicted on 91 counts former president out on bail or bond in 4 different jurisdictions. Last night, federal prosecutors raised more concerns about Trump's dangerous rhetoric and the urgent need for a gag order in Jack Smith's January 6th case.
Much more serious breaking news out of Capitol Hill and the face-off between Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz.
The gentleman will state the form of his resolution.
Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant. Resolved that the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives is hereby declared to be vacant.
We have serious issues right here, right? And instead of uniting and fighting, we're doing this.
Why don't y'all go on vacation then? Because that's what folks are, when we're at home, average day Americans, when we don't get our job done, there's no vacation.
The Republican Party today just can't govern. Nancy Pelosi with a 5-vote majority, she was able to govern. The Democrats have become the party of discipline, and the Republicans have become the party that lacks discipline.
News, Matt Gaetz, the Republican congressman, has filed that motion to remove Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House.
I was reading this morning in Axios, I believe, there is expectations are at rock bottom that the civil war between the many factions of the Republican Party can be fixed by next week.
So let me get this straight. To extend Joe Biden's spending and Joe Biden's policy priorities, the Speaker of the House gave away to Joe Biden the money for Ukraine that Joe Biden wanted. It is going to be difficult for my Republican friends to keep calling President Biden feeble while he continues to take Speaker McCarthy's lunch money in every negotiation.
What does this say about where the GOP is right now, and how much free ammo is this giving the White House and Democrats to be able to say, look, this is the dysfunction, this is the chaos that they bring every single day. Do you really want this next year when elections come around?
I mean, Republican leadership has been kind of absent at the wheel, even for this spending fight.
Down goes Kevin McCarthy. Down goes Kevin McCarthy. Ladies and gentlemen.
What do you think it's going to do for the Republican Party and chances of holding on to leadership in the majority when it looks like you're the ringleader of a circus led by Matt Gaetz, who likes to blow things up but not offer any new ideas? Are you happy following Matt Gaetz? Is that your leader?
I'm not following Matt Gaetz. I made my own decision. I didn't ask Matt.
But if Matt Gaetz didn't challenge, you weren't going to challenge.
Do what?
If Matt Gaetz didn't stand up, you weren't going to challenge. You know that.
I believe I would have.
Oh, come on.
Oh, well.
Please. You were praying about it 1 minute. The next minute, you're going to lead an insurgency?
So you don't think that praying about it's important? Is that what you're saying?
One minute you're praying about how you're going to vote with Matt Gaetz. And the next minute you're going to lead an insurgency?
Listen, you got a predetermined answer to everything. I represent my district, brother. And why are you smarter than me? You're condemning me because I stand up on my own, and that's
I'm not condemning you. I'm questioning you. You don't like being questioned?
The line of questioning is very negative, and you know that, and I know that.
First of all, we're without a speaker. This is historic. Something like this hasn't happened in well over 100 years. And now what we've got is total chaos when the Republicans are playing out their infighting on national television in a historic way instead of fighting Joe Biden's policies. And, now you've got the Democrats. This is a crazy thing. Democrats who hate the MAGA Republicans are now joining with the MAGA Republicans to oust Speaker McCarthy. This is like the devil is in the middle of all of this chaos.
This is a judge that should be disbarred. This is a judge that should be out of office. This is a judge that some people say could be charged criminally for what he's doing. He's interfering with an election.
One of the reasons why we want to transport, because obviously it's expensive if people are coming here.
Obviously, there are issues with the border and with migration. But these are the kinds of stunts you see from people who don't have a solution. Like, where have these Governor DeSantis was in Congress. Where was he when they were debating immigration reform? What have any of these people done to be part of the solution? I get if you're after attention. It's one thing to call attention to a problem. It's another to just call attention to a problem because the problem is actually more useful to you than the solution, and that helps you call attention to yourself.
Okay, there we are. A lot of infighting, a lot of chaos, a lot of disruption. We're not able to get a lot done, and it's one party doing it. It's a Republican Party. What's our viewpoint, MD, on the package we just saw?
Yeah, a lot of stuff to pack in with that. I'll just say this. When we talk about MAGA Republicans and GOP Republicans and stuff like that, that's why I try not to use that type of terminology, because everybody that's in play is interchangeable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I could have swore Trump, when the whole nomination of McCarthy came in, Trump supported.
He did.
Kevin McCarthy at that time.
He did. Yeah, he did.
And now all of a sudden, all the quote unquote MAGA Republicans against him. The conservatives got to stand on something at some point in time. Whether you agree with their policies or their rhetoric or their ideology, whether you agree with it or not, they got to stand on something. And you can't allow an ideology such as MAGA to break up the GOP, or this is the result you're gonna get. That's why I always say conservatism is dead. Period. And this is the result. That's all I say on that.
All right, Ricardo.
Yeah, I got to echo the same sentiments as MD. It from the Tea Party to MAGA to now this, like I have to hope and pray there's still a slither of hope that there's conservatism left in some good people, like how we had Romney, and even though I hate to mention her name, what's his name's daughter that they kicked out of party, Cheney. You gotta hope.
Oh, talking about Liz Cheney.
Yeah, Liz Cheney. You gotta hope that the old school conservatives still are applicable here, because I don't like the direction of where that party is heading. And if that's the case, where it's all MAGA people that really are coming up with all sort of nonsense that make no sense anymore, then it's pretty much dead, like MD says. I will only hope that there is still a slither of hope that there's somebody there that are no longer spineless. But from what we're seeing, this is not looking good, even from an observational point of view. As an independent voter, I always want to hope that I could lean towards, and not just lean towards, but hear out the other side in terms of how to reflectively vote. And I don't know if I'm getting the kind of result that I'm hoping to see once the next election kicks off from the conservative, the GOP side. The Grand Old Party needs to get its act together. These new school people that are the Marjorie Taylors and the whatnot need to sit themselves down and stop the nonsense that I'm seeing. It's not a puppet show. It's not one of them things that it's not about me. It's about what's best for this country. And we've seen them do a whole bunch of ridiculous things, including, I still have not forgotten when McCarthy himself did not put his foot down when the January 6th happened. I'm still upset with him about that. And when he went to Mar-a-Lago and did this whole, I can't even say it properly on here, stuck his butt up Trump's butt so hard that it was like, really, what are you doing? I need to start doing their job and start like doing their due diligence. The Conservative Party, the Grand Old Party that we remember from Lincoln's time period, I'm not seeing. The party that the black vote used to vote for, I'm not seeing. It's become so way off that the trajectory of what we're seeing now, I don't even know if people are willing to vote if we have no choice but to vote for them. So if the Marjorie Taylors are the ones that are going to be the new school and are running the show, I mean, you might as well just call it you're within at this point. But because we don't have a third party here to vote for, we're still going to end up giving them the de facto vote. Like, that's just kind of not sitting well with me. But again, I mean, here we are. This is not something I like. So am I at least bit surprised by how we're seeing them operate? Not one bit, because we knew this is the kind of behavior that they were presenting, coming into play here. But I can only hope for the best and hope that we could prove MD wrong, that conservatism isn't dead. It's just at the wayside looking around like, hey, I'm not going to rock the boat because I'm afraid that people are going to kick me out of the boat anyway. So let me just shut up and be quiet and start picking up and saying, hey, screw what you think or screw what you're going to do to me. I got to stand for principles and hope the principles win out. Because if we're going by the Constitution, they ain't doing what we're thinking they should be doing. And I'll just leave it at that. We need conservatism to still rise up at some point, because from the alphabet community and everybody else that's coming about, I'm not liking what I'm seeing, and everybody is this and everybody is that. We need conservatism to still be that little bit of voice that needs to be reasoned sometimes, and that's about that as much as I'm going to say at this point.
All right.
The great patriarch Ronald Reagan rolling in his grave.
All right, so we're gonna end the night with a nightcap video. I got two short videos, so I might just play both. Let's roll into the nightcap.
They're taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day.
You mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And so full disclosure.
No, just no. Let's bring back the panel, Alice, Doug.
So that was a clip from I believe the first debate for the Republicans, and
that was the second one.
That was the second one. Okay,
Yeah.
that was the second one. So Mike Pence trying to slip his little thing in there. So I just thought that was just so funny. I just had to show that one. Any comments on that?
I guess they'll be sleeping with the enemy. That was just so cringy. I can't even.
Exactly. And that's why he's running for president, and he's so
Pence is
awkward.
man. He awkward as hell.
Yeah, I just don't think that's a winning strategy there.
Yeah, and I don't know if we discussed the last debate that they had, but yeah, I to your point, Venkat, I had Chris Christie winning that debate.
Yeah, man, I like this.
I had him winning.
Yeah.
You know, he stood firm.
You didn't like Haley at all during that debate?
I mean, she was. I had her a close second, but I got to give it to Christie because Christie was pointing out the BS at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I got to give it to him for that.
Vivek is pretty much done, right?
Oh yeah, they teamed. Yeah, they dogged Vivek.
Yeah.
I think. Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I think before the debate went on air, that all the candidates conspired to beat up on Vivek. Because the way they did him, I said, man, they did him dirty.
A little bit too strategic.
Yeah, they did him dirty.
Wow. All right, so we'll look at the last nightcap.
You know the difference that I define the difference between right wing and left wing. People to the right of center. Well, let's start with the people to the left. People to the left of center, liberals, Democrats, populists. They're interested in people, human beings, and human values. People to the right of the line, Republicans and rich people and right wingers, they're interested in property, not people. And they're soulless. They're without soul. They don't really care. These Christians don't do Jesus' work, which is to feed the poor and take care of the ones who can't help themselves. That's what their Jesus said. Feed those who have no way. To take ones who have nothing going for them. Help them in my name.
All right. So what do you think there, MD? Is he wrong? Is he shooting over a little bit? What do you think?
I mean, I get his sentiment, but he's wrong in the aspect of how he's viewing what property is. When we talk about property, now I'm just going off solely a baseline Republican principle, not the stuff that you see today, but a baseline Republican principle is that every person has the right to own property. Now, to think that left means people, I don't know where you get that from. You know what I'm saying? But
weren't liberals the reason we have a 5-day, 40-hour week type of situation? Remember, the opposition to that was not a liberal. The liberals were fighting. The progressives were fighting for that.
I understand.
That's not a conservative war cry.
I understand, but again,
I'm just saying we would be working 7 days a week, probably 80 hours a day.
Correct.
well, not necessarily, because you got the right to not work. So that that's on you. But what I'm saying is, you also had on on the other side of that token, giving complete and total power to the union. So which one would you rather have? Power to the union officials, or power to private ownership?
You heard
Which
of
one would you like?
You heard of the saying of the voice of the voiceless, right? So
Man,
if
there ain't no
you're
such
one of
thing
the
in America.
voiceless, hey, if you're one of the voiceless and you need a megaphone, that might be a union for you. And you know what? I was first really introduced to unions. I worked for a company that now I know is extremely right wing. At the time, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't really care. But thinking back, they did this whole rollout, handing out pamphlets and making us watch videos. Oh, if somebody's trying to get to a union, you got to let us know because they can't do this. Like it was like death coming. And I'm like, if something can make them that worried, that may be something worth looking into. So I've never been a part of a union, but I do know a lot of things couldn't move. It's funny how cops got their union, not a blink of an eye, right? You got all these people that have representatives and other working people. They don't got nothing. They just go into an interview. They're told what the hourly rate is. They may be able to bargain it up 30 cents, and then they go about their merry way. When an actor going for a job, there's an agent that represents them, and they can go back and forth with a bidding war and all that stuff. But the regular working day person doesn't have that representation. And when you lose that representation, you can correlate 1980, Ronald Reagan's terms, when he came in and his agenda was to bust up the unions, and he did. He pretty much broke them down. And you can look at the changing of America and the way things are. There's a lot of, in MAGA in general, there's a lot of looking into the past about the better days and better. Well, Ronald Reagan was a big part of that erosion that happened. And it could all be linked in a big part with losing representation or that voice from not having unions. I'm just saying.
It seemed like every week, me and you, Venkat, we go on to something about union.
Yeah, man. I ain't never been a part of a union or nothing, but I just see the other side of it. So, but hey, I like, hey, if we can have those conversations, man. Somebody got to have those conversations. All right, so we're about to check out now. Final words, Ricardo?
Yeah, a lot has happened during the week. McCarthy got hosted from his position. We're now in an imminent war, it looks like, with a whole bunch of propaganda coming about. I just encourage people to not fall for it, but do your due diligence and research before jumping and making, accusational point of views that don't make sense. Do your research, know what you're talking about, and then make a definitive decision about what you're talking about, because it's going to get very dramatic in the coming months. I do encourage everyone to also, if you can, do a bit of historical research as well, to do your back in terms of what you're going to be getting. What we're seeing now is all historical, so it comes full circle once you do your research and all that. It makes sense. To explain it, it's going to be too much for some people, and if you want to, you could go online and read it, or research it on YouTube. It's all there. Conservatism isn't dead, MD. I do know it. I do hope it's still somewhere.
It's on life support.
It's on life support, but judging from J6 from the previous year, it crumples our heart. So, in short, and in closing, let's just hope that there's no government shutdown. We care the House, which is the third most important position to have in this country, and let's hope there's no imminent that's going to create a recession for this country to handle, because Lord knows we can't economically unless we're going to, which we all hope for. Yay, free tea. No, I'm joking.
Hey, Ricardo, but wouldn't a recession kind of like bring down a lot of the bull that's been going on with fakeflation? You know, the housing being high.
Yeah,
Now,
That's a good point.
when a recession would bring a lot of things back to reality quick.
It would, but it would create another set of issues that I just don't think going with
It's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know, because with the Ukraine issue, then with this, then you have all the other set of things that we are not prominently seeing coming about going into 2024. I don't think we can handle it. I just don't think this country can. And then we're all so divisive. It doesn't help things. But what do I know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, MD. Final words.
Yeah, good show. I'm glad we was able to get down to the nitty gritty when it comes, because that's a point of contention with Obama and Trump. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad we were able to get that. You gave some foresight on that, and let me audition for the Bible Brothers show. Shalom. Keep your eyes toward Israel. Bible prophecy is coming into play. That's for you, Trevor. Can I get on the show on Thursday? Shalom. For it was written that these things was gonna happen.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, it's a great show. I appreciate all the panelists, the most dangerous panel in all of politics. Whatever I do, they do times 2. And we're going to be back next week. We have the show next week is still in work in progress. There's multiple ideas about where we're going to go. I'll probably have to finalize it with the chat group and figure out which one we want to do. But there's like 4 options that I'm thinking, if not more. So we'll be back next week. I'd like to thank Trevor in the chat trolling. It's all good. Big shout out to Mike, Mr. Others. Always a great debate when Mike is in the building. Let me see here. 1 second. I don't want to do Mike dirty. So
nothing could excite me more than seeing.
Hey, real quick. Also, keep your eyes on the situation with RFK Jr. You know he went independent, so that may take away on either side what's gonna happen in 2024.
Oh, that's interesting.
Keep that in mind too.
Oh yeah.
Where was
What you say, Ricardo?
No, it's saying where is he politically in terms of his ideology? Is he Republican?
Well, he was Democrat.
Oh, okay. So
he was Democrat, but
he's a part of Camelot crew.
Yeah. So he officially went independent. I want to say it was Thursday or Friday of last week. I want to say.
Okay.
And it also might set up a debate between him and Cornel West, which I really want to see. So,
but Cornel West is in politics now.
Yeah, he running in the Green Party.
Oh, that's a failure already. He needs to pick
but like I said, it'll be an entertaining debate between him and RFK.
Cornel West is legit, but that Green Party ain't gonna do it, man.
He's in the Green Party.
Yeah, that ain't gonna do it.
I'm surprised, Venkat. You a socialist? You don't like the Green? You don't like the Green Party?
I'm a socialist. Hey, I'm a realist, man. Hey, so great show tonight. I thank everybody for coming on. You know, Mike, Mike's awesome. Look forward to Mike being. I don't know what Mike said. Something he alluded to something going on. Hope everything is well with Mike. Shout out to Mike.
Than seeing others. Nothing could excite me more than seeing others. Nothing.
And with so others gang in the house. Again, we'll be back next week. Thank everybody for being with us tonight. And we appreciate the support. Shout out to Tequila in the chat. She is awesome. She is very consistent, and we appreciate her contributions here. Good night to everybody. And for everyone, I'm Venkat. This is Tape Fist Politics. See ya.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.